Chapter 1136. However, even though Long Yu had thought of many methods, he didn't mention any of them to Red Oriole. This was because Grandmaster Bai Yun's previous example had taught Long Yu that whispering in secret in front of an expert was useless. Instead, the other party would know what he was thinking. In this kind of situation, if Long Yu wanted to cooperate with Red Oriole, it would depend on the level of tacit understanding between the two. Big sister, why don't we run away? We really can't beat this sovereign realm expert. Look, you've been suppressed from the very beginning. If you can't hold on, the consequences will be unimaginable. I don't think Big Sister wants to become this old man's concubine, right? Long Yu transmitted his voice to Red Oriole. Of course, these words were fake. They were meant to confuse the old man. If Red Oriole was smart enough, she would definitely think of a way to cooperate with Long Yu. As expected, Red Oriole didn't disappoint Long Yu. In the next moment, Red Oriole also pretended to be strained. She turned her head with great difficulty and transmitted her voice to Long Yu. Idiot, of course I don't want to become this old man's concubine. However, it seems like it's impossible to escape now. This old man is much stronger than me. If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have provoked him. Long Yu, who was familiar with Red Oriole, naturally knew that these words were meant to confuse the public. When had the first princess of the Blood Demon clan ever revealed such a frightened expression? Her words were clearly meant to cooperate with Long Yu's words to make the wretched old man lower his guard. It was obvious that the wretched old man had heard the contents of their secret transmission. Moreover, the wretched expression on the old man's face became even more wretched, as if he was envisioning a scene that would excite him. Hee, it's not too late to surrender now. It seems like the two of you have a pretty good relationship. If you surrender now, this old man can accept this little brother as a disciple. Otherwise, this old man will have to kill him. The wretched old man laughed mischievously as he looked at Red Oriole. Surrender? Senior, I hope you can let us go. We were wrong. We shouldn't have provoked you. Red Oriole's eyes were misty. Her acting was so realistic. If it weren't for the fact that Long Yu had some understanding of her, he really would have been fooled. You can't run even if you want to. Surrender and follow this old man into this old man's minor world. You'll be able to eat and drink well. Sooner or later, you'll step into the sovereign realm. The wretched old man continued to attack with gray mist, gradually enveloping Long Yu and Red Oriole. Then, all right, we surrender. As Red Oriole spoke, she blushed slightly. This appearance caused the wretched old man's lust to be aroused. However, it was also at this moment that Red Oriole and Long Yu attacked at practically the same time. They executed the techniques they'd prepared for a long time and attacked the wretched old man. There was no need to say much about Long Yu's technique. He was only a 4-star emperor. How could he have the strength to fight against a sovereign realm expert? There was only one technique he could use: the 9 underworld prison tablet. In an instant, the 9 underworld prison tablets smashed out, and a terrifying aura descended. The wretched old man was caught off guard, and he was stunned on the spot. Long Yu had tried using the 9 underworld prison tablets several times before. The first time was when he used it to stun an expert from the Bone Clan. The second time was when he used it to deal with a large group of people from the Black Scale Devil Clan. When he used the 9 underworld prison tablet for the second time, the leader of the Black Scale Devil Clan, the Absolute Imperial Demon, directly used a long-range attack on the 9 underworld prison tablet, causing the 9 underworld prison tablet to explode and kill a large group of people from the Black Scale Devil Clan. However, the second time, because the distance between Long Yu and the Absolute Imperial Demon was relatively far, the Absolute Imperial Demon had time to react and attack the 9 underworld prison tablet. Now, there was not much distance between Long Yu and the wretched old man. As soon as the 9 underworld prison tablet appeared, a dense aura of the 9 underworlds spread out, enveloping the old man and completely stunning him. Even if it was only for a breath's time, it was enough. Red Oriole would not miss this opportunity. She also knew that this was the first and only chance for her and Long Yu. Otherwise, her divine rune power was restrained by the other party, and her martial Dao realm was not as high as the other parties. In the end, she would most likely lose. Although she did not know what method Long Yu had to deal with the wretched old man in the sovereign realm, she chose to believe in Long Yu. The two of them cooperated very well. At the same time, the wretched old man was stunned by the 9 underworld prison tablets' dense aura. Then, Red Oriole used her technique. It was an unbounded martial technique, the strongest inherited martial technique of the Blood Demon clan. The endless power of the blood-colored divine runes turned into a monstrous wave, directly rolling towards the wretched old man, as if he was bathed in a sea of blood. Then, Red Oriole raised her hand, and the endless waves of blood-colored divine runes were all absorbed into the blood-red pendant on her neck, entering her small world. Taking advantage of the wretched old man being stunned by the 9 underworld prison tablet, Red Oriole actually captured the wretched old man into her small world. In this way, the outcome of the battle was decided. In Red Oriole's small world, wouldn't he still have to listen to her? Done. Pretty good teamwork. After Red Oriole was done, she clapped her hands and hugged Long Yu excitedly. I didn't expect you to be so treacherous. Ahem, you say I'm treacherous, but aren't you very treacherous yourself? Otherwise, how could you understand what I was thinking and act at almost the same time as me? Long Yu coughed and said, No, this is called quick-witted. That's not right. We should be called quick-witted. That old man is the one who's treacherous. Let's not talk any more. I have to go torture that wretched old man and ask him what his origins are. Red Oriole kissed Long Yu's cheek, then jumped into the small world of the blood-red pendant with a smile. Long Yu held the blood-red pendant in one hand and touched the part of his face that Red Oriole had kissed with the other. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This feeling, it's not bad. In Red Oriole's small world, Red Oriole saw the wretched old man who had already recovered his consciousness. The wretched old man obviously knew that he had been captured and brought into Red Oriole's small world. He couldn't help but have a look of dismay and despair on his face. He obviously knew what would happen to him if he entered someone else's small world. Simply put, his life was completely in Red Oriole's hands. If Red Oriole was unhappy, she could use the world energy of this small world at any time to completely annihilate him. In Red Oriole's small world, the wretched old man's world energy was greatly suppressed. His strength had been weakened by at least 90%. If this was a lesser ruler's small world, the wretched old man might still be able to put up a fight, but his opponent was a higher ruler, Red Oriole, who could just barely contend with him. Under such circumstances, Red Oriole was completely capable of crushing this wretched old man in her little world. Tell me the truth. What's your name? Where are you from? When Red Oriole arrived and faced the wretched old man, her entire being became filled with a murderous aura. An incomparably callous expression hung on her face. She didn't want to give such a wretched old man any face at all. At this moment, Red Oriole was like a god of death that had walked out from a pool of blood. The wretched old man scowled miserably. My little grandaunt, please let me go. I still have a 3-year-old grandson at home, waiting for me to get some demon coins from here to raise him. Cut the crap and answer my question. Red Oriole glared at him, and the wretched old man instantly shivered. He was truly afraid that this girl would kill him in a fit of rage. AI, when you're under someone else's roof, you really have no choice but to lower your head. The wretched old man sighed, then said, My name is Wei Yuyan, a member of the human race's White Cloud clan. Unfortunately, I was ostracized by many people in power in the White Cloud clan, so I had no choice but to leave home and come here. I heard that there was a Yao Sing tomb here, so I couldn't help but come and investigate. You're actually a member of the White Cloud clan? Wei Yuyan? I've never heard of you. Red Oriole narrowed her eyes. She thought of Master White Cloud, who had wanted to take Long Yu as his personal disciple in the serious arena. She had to admit that Master White Cloud had the demeanor of a master. Although he had wanted to take the opportunity to take Long Yu as his disciple, he had not forced him. Moreover, he had not had any conflict with Long Yu after that, and had left directly. If it had been a more arrogant expert, they probably would not have let the matter go so easily. Therefore, Red Oriole's original impression of the White Cloud clan was not bad. Unfortunately, it had been completely ruined by this old man called Wei Yian. It was no wonder that such a wretched old man would be ostracized by the other experts of the White Cloud clan. What did you obtain in this Yao Saint tomb? Hand it all over. Red Oriole began her robbery. She had already captured the other party and brought him into the pocket world, so it was already good enough that she did not directly kill him. What was the big deal about robbing him? Wei Yuyan also knew that the current situation was like a fish on a chopping block. He could only lower his head, so he took out many of the things he had obtained in the Yao Saint tomb and obediently handed them over to Red Oriole. He could not leave Red Oriole's pocket world, so it was useless to resist her. If Red Oriole wanted to, she would have killed him long ago. His things would belong to her sooner or later. You did well. You can stay here for now. I don't want to kill you for now, but if you do anything bad, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Red Oriole threatened him, then left the pocket world with the things she had obtained. She appeared in the outside world of the Yao Saint tomb and appeared in front of Long Yu. Lock that old man up for now. Let's see what he obtained in the Yao Saint tomb. They seem to be pretty good. Chapter 1137. When Red Oriole came out of the pocket world, she took out the items and glanced at them. They were about the same as what she and Long Yu had obtained before. They were all pretty good treasures, but they were all broken. For example, the broken endless level fighters and the fragments of the pocket world were the most valuable. The other small things weren't worth much, so they were almost negligible to Long Yu and Red Oriole. Now wasn't the time to count the spoils of war, so the two of them continued on their way. Due to the existence of the remnant soul of the young girl Ji Tao in the Thunderfire Een Blade, the two of them had a very smooth journey. After imprisoning the wretched old man Wei Yuyan in Red Oriole's small world, the two of them did not see any other cultivators. After all, no one could keep up with their speed and reach the depths of the Demon Saint's tomb so quickly except for the great sovereigns. Moreover, since everyone entered the tomb from different directions, Long Yu and Red Oriole wouldn't encounter too many great sovereigns along the way. Therefore, Long Yu and Red Oriole's journey was very smooth. However, the closer they got to the depths of the tomb, the fewer treasures floating in the void. According to Ji Tao's remnant soul, the closer they got to the depths of the Demon Saint's tomb, the closer they were to the places destroyed by the Star River explosion. Even endless level fighters couldn't survive in the core. Even if there were, they had gradually drifted in from the periphery of the Demon Saint's tomb over the past 1,000 years. That was why there were so few of them. As for the rainbow crystal powder in the center of the tomb, Ji Tao wasn't worried. Demon Saint Thunderfire's corpse was placed together with the rainbow crystal powder, which was surrounded by the strongest material in the world, Black Domain Divine Stone. Black Domain Divine Stone was so strong that even the Star River explosion couldn't destroy it. From this point of view, even if Long Yu and Red Oriole obtained the coffin made of Black Domain Divine Stone, it would be very difficult for them to get the rainbow crystal powder out. Of course, Red Oriole and Long Yu believed Ji Tao when she said she had a way. There was no benefit in lying to them. After a full 3 days, Long Yu and Red Oriole were getting closer and closer to the depths of the Demon Saint's tomb. The others were probably still relatively far away, at least 3 to 5 days away from the center of the tomb. Even the great sovereigns were no exception. If Long Yu and Red Oriole were to rely on their own strength, it would take them at least 5 days to arrive. Therefore, one could imagine that other sovereign realm experts would need at least 3 to 5 days to arrive. On the other hand, Long Yu was rather glad that he had the remnant soul of the young girl Ji Tao. Not only did this young girl miraculously survive until now, she was also kind-hearted. This made Long Yu think of the death envoy from before. The envoy of death had also relied on a wisp of his remnant soul to exist for countless years. Zhang Xian had no idea what kind of means this was. If there was a chance, he would have to ask about it. The two arrived at the center of the demon saint's tomb. This was the real demon saint's tomb. Outside of this place, there were only ordinary voids affected by the Star River explosion. There were no buildings or anything like that. What appeared in front of Long Yu and Red Oriole was an incomparably magnificent palace. Purple lightning and white flames formed the base of the entire palace. It was extremely imposing. This palace was made up of a vast complex of buildings. Long Yu and Red Oriole directly stepped into it. Upon arriving here, the lightning fire secret technique that Long Yu had cultivated previously came in handy. Because in this vast building complex, there would be many lightning fire traps. If someone who did not know the truth came here, they would definitely fall into the ambush of the lightning fire trap. It was very likely that they would be heavily injured or even killed. Fortunately, they had Ji Tao's guidance, so the two shouldn't encounter too much trouble as they advanced. Long Yu was ready to use the lightning fire secret technique at any time. Soon, they encountered the first lightning fire trap near the gap between two buildings. Here, use the lightning fire secret technique to condense divine runes of any attribute. As long as you use the lightning fire secret technique, you can temporarily suppress this trap and prevent it from exploding. Following Ji Tao's words, Long Yu began to use the third stage of the lightning fire secret technique to condense the power of the 9 nether divine runes. Then, he covered the place Ji Tao pointed to. Soon, he felt that some kind of power was suppressed, which made Long Yu breathe a sigh of relief. "All right," Ji Tao said. Long Yu nodded. Then, Red Oriole took the lead and smoothly passed through the gap between the buildings, reaching the depths of the demon saint's tomb. Since the buildings in the void did not have many directions, these buildings all had doors in 6 directions. Once inside, they would enter a square-shaped hall. There should have been a lot of good things stored in it. Unfortunately, after the destruction of the Star River burst and thousands of years of experience, the things in these small buildings had all been destroyed. Even these buildings were riddled with holes and looked extremely dilapidated. Each of these buildings was made of very hard materials and reinforced with many first-class divine rune crystals. However, they could not withstand a single blow from the Star River burst and were directly destroyed. The power of the Star River burst was indeed a huge disaster for the cultivation world. Long Yu and Red Oriole kept temporarily suppressing the lightning fire trap. Then, they constantly passed through the buildings and got closer to the center of the demon saint's tomb. During this period of time, Long Yu began to trust the young girl Ji Tao more and more, because it was Ji Tao who pointed out the location of the lightning and fire mechanism, as well as instructed them to suppress it, allowing them to safely pass through and smoothly reach the largest palace. This hall was engraved with patterns of purple lightning and white flames. It was the symbol of the lightning fire demons. The entire hall was more than 10 times larger than the other small halls around it. This was the center of the entire demon saint's tomb. It was also where demon sage Lightning Fire's corpse was buried. When they arrived at the central hall of the tomb, Ji Tao, who had been rather talkative along the way, became somewhat silent. It was as though she had recalled the past matters regarding demon sage Lightning Fire. Red Oriole was a woman after all. She was somewhat sentimental. She could not help but say to Ji Tao, "Why don't you tell us about you and your grandfather, Demon Sage Lightning Fire? I'm not very sure about what happened 1,000 years ago. I only heard that Demon Sage Lightning Fire was a hero and role model for us demons." "Okay," Ji Tao agreed. In fact, she was still immersed in reminiscing about the past. In such a tomb was her grandfather, who had died 1,000 years ago, demon sage lightning fire. In fact, if it wasn't for the galaxy burst, Ji Tao would probably be a powerful expert of the lightning fire demons. She would definitely be in existence at the great ruler realm. In fact, she might even be an important figure in the entire demon race. But now, only a remnant soul remained. It barely survived in the lightning fire saber. The two girls began chatting. As for Long Yu, he wasn't interested in demon sage lightning fire's past. He began searching around the largest hall and constantly used lightning fire mystic arts to suppress the lightning fire trap. After continuously suppressing the lightning fire mechanism along the way, Long Yu had gained some experience in finding the lightning fire mechanism. Now that he was trying to find the lightning fire mechanism based on his own experience, he was able to find it. The key difficulty was that the lightning fire traps in the largest hall were connected together. He had to first find all the lightning fire traps in a group and quickly suppress them in a short period of time. Otherwise, they wouldn't be effective. If a cultivator passed by, the lightning fire traps in the group would immediately erupt. This kind of chain mechanism was not rare in the Demon Saint Tomb. To Long Yu, it could be considered as a big test. Red Oriole didn't cultivate the lightning fire mystic arts anyway, and she couldn't help Long Yu. She could chat with Ji Tao if she wanted to. It wouldn't affect anything. In the surroundings of the largest palace hall, there were a total of 10 groups of lightning fire trap. Each group had 5 to 20 lightning fire traps, and Long Yu had a hard time searching for them. Fortunately, he had the relevant experience, and coupled with his cautious personality, he was able to slowly eliminate these 10 groups of lightning fire trap. If he used the lightning fire mystic arts to deal with the lightning fire traps, he could only temporarily suppress them. They wouldn't erupt for 4 hours. Therefore, Long Yu had to be fast. If he couldn't deal with all the lightning fire traps in 4 hours, the first suppressed lightning fire trap would activate again. Therefore, if Long Yu wasn't fast enough, he would never be able to enter the largest hall. Thankfully, Long Yu was very adept at suppressing the lightning fire traps along the way. Now, even though he was facing dozens of hidden lightning fire traps, he was still very fast. In less than 4 hours, Long Yu suppressed all the lightning fire traps around the hall. Red Oriole, I'm done. Let's go in. Long Yu called out to Red Oriole, and then took the lead to fly into the tomb hall. Of course, he first summoned a 9 Nether Hunter to fly in front of him, in case he encountered any accidents that caught him off guard. On the other side, Red Oriole and the young girl Ji Tao did not continue chatting. However, in just 4 hours, the two girls had become much more familiar and intimate with each other than before. Red Oriole collected her thoughts and followed Long Yu. Then, they stepped into the largest hall together. The entire palace was extremely spacious. Half of the palace was purple lightning, and the other half was white flames. In the middle of this blue and white palace, a pure black stone coffin floated. That black stone coffin must have been refined from black domain divine stone. It was rumored to be the hardest material in the world. Even the galactic current could not destroy it. Long Yu noticed that the walls of the palace were covered in cracks due to the impact of the galactic current. Some of the walls were so dilapidated that one could even see the outside of the walls. Some of the walls were pierced through and looked extremely dilapidated. Chapter 1138. Long Yu and Red Oriole walked into the center of the hall and arrived in front of the black stone coffin. Under the control of Ji Tao's remnant soul, the Thunderfire saber flew out of Red Oriole's small world and silently hovered around the black stone coffin. Alright, let's hurry up and do it. Otherwise, we'll have to close the thunder and fire mechanisms around the hall one by one. It'll take at least 4 hours. Long Yu waved his hand and said to the Thunderfire saber, "What method do you think we can use to break open this stone coffin made of black domain divine stone?" Only Ji Tao knew the method to break open the stone coffin. It's impossible to break open the Black Domain Divine Stone with brute force, so you have to be skillful. Basically, all advanced weapon refinement masters will smelt the Black Domain Divine Stone. However, due to the characteristics of the Black Domain Divine Stone, every weapon refinement master has a different method to break open the Black Domain Divine Stone. The remnant soul of Ji Tao said, I know the method to break open my grandfather's stone coffin, but you have to swear not to destroy my grandfather's body. Can you do that? You can rest assured. We only want the rainbow crystal powder. Besides, once the rainbow crystal powder is taken away, no one else will come here and disturb your grandfather. Red Oriole nodded. Even Long Yu nodded. He had no interest in the old man's corpse, let alone destroy the Thunderfire Demon Sage's body. Why would he do something that had no benefits to him? Although the old man might have many good things on him, it was enough for Long Yu to obtain the rainbow crystal powder. He couldn't be too greedy. Furthermore, he had obtained all of this because of Ji Tao. Long Yu didn't want to violate her request. When Ji Tao saw the two of them nod in agreement, she told them the method to break open the stone coffin made of Black Domain Divine Stone so that Long Yu and Red Oriole knew. Of course, cracking this sarcophagus still required the use of the Thunderfire secret technique, so Red Oriole could not help much. Only Long Yu could work on it. Fortunately, the process of breaking the stone coffin was not difficult. Long Yu only spent 1 incense stick's worth of time to break it. After that, the entire stone coffin began to melt and a small hole appeared. Hey, there's only such a small hole that can be opened. Quickly take out the rainbow crystal powder. Ji Tao urged. Long Yu remained vigilant. Even now, he still didn't fully trust the remnant soul of Ji Tao. But soon, he knew that this girl didn't have any ulterior motives. She didn't lie to him. As Long Yu performed the Thunderfire secret technique and condensed the divine symbols, he finally took out a pile of powder from the hole in the sarcophagus. The powder showed different colors: red, orange, red, green, cyan, blue, and purple. It was exactly the 7 colors of the rainbow. The 7 colors of the powder were mixed together, and it seemed impossible to separate them. No matter how fine it was, it definitely contained 7 colors. These 7 colors seemed to have completely fused together, but it seemed that they could be distinguished from each other. It was very magical. The weight of the pile of rainbow crystal powder was exactly the 7 taels that Ji Tao had mentioned. According to the market price in the demon race's territory, it was enough to sell for 140 billion demon coins. Even for the Blood Demon clan, this was a huge sum of money. Even Red Oriole had never held so much money before. She couldn't help but brighten up. It wasn't that Red Oriole had never seen such a valuable item before, but she had rarely owned it herself. To be honest, there were a lot of good items in the Blood Demon clan, but they were all the property of the Blood Demon clan. Even Red Oriole was not qualified to touch them. Brother Long, we're rich. Red Oriole's eyes were shining. Alright, let's get out of here. It'll be bad if someone catches up to us and sees us. Long Yu waved his hand. He was quite happy in his heart. After putting away the rainbow crystal powder, he turned around and left. Red Oriole didn't ask Long Yu for the rainbow crystal powder. Instead, she quickly picked up the thunderous flame saber and followed Long Yu out of the large palace at the center. After they left, the pitch-black sarcophagus in the center of the palace slowly closed up. The small hole that Long Yu had made on the Black Domain Divine Stone gradually returned to its original state, as if no one had ever been there. There was a total of 7 taels of rainbow crystal powder. Long Yu didn't need that much. I have 4 rainbow stone eggs. I only need 4 taels of rainbow crystal powder. I'll give the remaining 3 taels to Red Oriole. Long Yu had never forgotten that he was working with Red Oriole. Even though he had given Red Oriole the cultivation method for balanced control, that was a different matter altogether. He still had to give Red Oriole what she needed. Thus, after coming out of the palace, Long Yu prepared to leave. He took out 3 tails of rainbow crystal powder and handed it to Red Oriole. You really don't want it? Actually, if you want it, you can take all of it. I have no use for it. Even if you give it to me, I'll just sell it for money. Red Oriole smiled leisurely. Then I'll keep it for now. We'll talk about it after we leave this tomb. All right, what does Sister Jitao plan to do? Are you leaving with us or? Long Yu thought of the young girl Jitao's remnant soul that was still inside the thunderous flame saber. I'll go with you guys. There's nothing left for me to miss here anyway. I want to go back to the thunderous fire demonic tribe to take a look, the young girl Jitao said cautiously. Right now, she was truly afraid that Long Yu and Red Oriole would turn their backs on her. If they were to shatter her remnant soul on the spot, she wouldn't be able to resist at all. The only thing she was confident in was that she had only told the 2 of them the cultivation method for the first 3 layers of the thunderous flame secret technique. If Long Yu and Red Oriole completely shattered her soul, they wouldn't be able to learn the cultivation method for the rest of the technique. However, Red Oriole truly liked Jitao. As for Long Yu, he didn't have any interest in harming young girls. Jitao was already very pitiful. The sudden star burst had destroyed her in an instant. Long Yu didn't want to bully such a pitiful young girl's remnant soul. Then let's take a walk on Thunderous Flame. Red Oriole nodded, making the decision on behalf of Long Yu. In any case, it wouldn't take much time. But we can't just go out like this. Little brother Long, let's quickly change our appearances. Otherwise we might run into someone and be recognized. Red Oriole said to Long Yu. That's what I was thinking. Long Yu nodded. Then, he used the Book of Shadow's divine ability and transformed himself into a kitten. On the surface, this kitten looked like an ordinary kitten. It wasn't a demonic beast cultivator, and it didn't have any martial Dao cultivation. It was just an ordinary pet. Seeing this, Red Oriole nodded with a satisfied smile. If we were to leave as one man and one woman, even if we changed our appearances, people would still be suspicious. However, it's good that you've turned into a kitten. After saying that, Red Oriole turned into a charming woman, dressed in pink chiffon. She hugged Long Yu, who had turned into a kitten, and flew towards the periphery of the Demon Saint tomb, sticking close to her fair and flawless skin. Red Oriole's illusion transformation ability was absolutely first-rate. Her attainments in this aspect had definitely surpassed many ordinary Sovereign Realm cultivators. Even if her younger brother, Red Monarch, was standing in front of her, he wouldn't necessarily be able to recognize her, let alone other cultivators who weren't familiar with her to begin with. A flirtatious woman carrying a kitten in her arms traversed the endless pitch-black void. It was extremely suspicious. However, at this moment, Red Oriole's aura was actually that of a Sovereign Realm expert. Even Long Yu was impressed by her ability to disguise herself. At most, Long Yu could rely on balanced control to conceal his aura. However, Red Oriole was able to disguise herself as a Sovereign Realm expert. Long Yu had to admit that he was inferior to her. Soon, the 2 of them encountered their first person. It was a middle-aged woman who was also a Sovereign Realm expert. The 2 of them didn't say anything when they met, and simply walked away. The middle-aged woman seemed to have obtained quite a few good things in the demonic Saint tomb. She ignored Red Oriole and headed deeper into the tomb. Red Oriole's route was very particular. She didn't go straight out, but in a circle. This way, if they met someone, they wouldn't think that she came out from the center, and it would save them a lot of trouble. Long Yu transformed into a kitten and was held in Red Oriole's arms. Feeling the soft and warm skin, he couldn't help but feel a little restless. However, he quickly suppressed it and began to think about refining the rainbow stone eggs and rainbow crystal powder. Long Yu had 4 rainbow stone eggs. The main colors were red, black, blue, and white. They could be used to refine the Devil Speed Pill, Void Travel Pill, 8 Extreme Blood Pill, and Sacred Soul Heavenly Pill respectively. Among them, the Devil Speed Pill and Void Travel Pill could greatly increase a cultivator's compatibility with divine runes. The 8 Extreme Blood Pill could give birth to the 8 Extreme Bloodline. The Sacred Soul Heavenly Pill was equivalent to a strengthened version of the Devil Dust Heart. After consuming it, one would be able to regenerate an unlimited number of fleshly bodies within 2 hours. No matter which pill it was, its effects were definitely at a heaven-defying level. It could raise a cultivator's strength by a large level, so Long Yu was rather concerned about it. Other than the Rainbow Stone Egg and the Rainbow Crystal Powder, he would need a lot of supplementary materials to refine these 4 pills. However, they were all relatively common materials. Although their value was not low, with Long Yu's current assets, it should not be difficult to buy them. The key was that he no longer needed rare materials like the Rainbow Crystal Powder. As for the alchemist, I don't know if Liao Lele, who has the Bitter Sea Medicine Cauldron, is qualified to refine this heaven-defying pill. However, after I gather all the ingredients, I can let her give it a try. Long Yu thought to himself. His next plan was to go to the exchange hall and buy all the remaining auxiliary alchemy materials he needed. After that, he could prepare to start concocting pills. Chapter 1139. Long Yu counted the materials needed to refine the 4 heaven-defying elixirs, but he didn't know how many demon coins these materials would cost. He didn't have a single demon coin on him at the moment, but presumably, as long as he sold 1 tael of Rainbow Crystal Powder, it would be enough to buy all the other auxiliary materials, right? The key point was that if he sold the Rainbow Crystal Powder now, it would arouse too much suspicion, and he was afraid that it would cause a lot of trouble. That's not right. Didn't I tell Jitao to spread the news that the Rainbow Crystal Powder has been taken? Of course, it's fine as long as it's spread. There's no need to say that we took the Rainbow Crystal Powder. Long Yu thought in his heart. As Red Oriole continued to walk in circles, they met more and more cultivators. Many of them were very curious about Red Oriole, and some male cultivators were very envious of the kitten in her arms. Unexpectedly, there was such a happy kitten. If they knew that this kitten was a man in disguise, they might directly kill Long Yu out of jealousy. There were 2 great sovereign experts who wanted to talk to Red Oriole, but Red Oriole simply ignored them. As for the other cultivators, once they felt the great sovereign aura on Red Oriole, they didn't dare to act recklessly. It should be known that there were many experts with strange tempers in this world. If they accidentally killed this senior just by talking to her, wouldn't they have lost their lives in vain? Most of the cultivators who could cultivate to the level of Emperor wouldn't have weak willpower. It was impossible for them to rush up to a seductive woman to strike up a conversation. Such a person would have been killed hundreds of years ago, and it was impossible for him to live until now. Therefore, along the way, they didn't encounter too much trouble. About 2 days later, when the 2 were halfway through their journey, they finally saw cultivators that made their hearts tremble. They were 3 high-level sovereign demonic cultivators wearing golden armor. They were experts from the Golden Flood Dragon demonic race. Experts from the Golden Flood Dragon demonic race, why are they here? Are there only 3 of them, or are there more? Long Yu and Red Oriole pondered at the same time. However, they remained calm on the surface. They circled around the 3 experts of the Golden Flood Dragon clan and continued to fly towards the outside of the Sacred Beast tomb. Very soon, the 2 of them learned that the experts of the Golden Flood Dragon monstrous clan did not come alone. A large group of them had come together and were spreading the news that Princess Blood Demon and the Human Mountain Ghost had taken away the 7-colored crystal powder. Damn it, how did they know? Long Yu couldn't help but be shocked. Wasn't that Golden Flood Dragon demon race too powerful? They had just taken away the Rainbow Crystal Powder and they already knew about it? I don't think they know. They just spread the news and asked others to look for us. Fortunately, we have been changing our appearances, so it won't be easy for them to find us. Red Oriole smiled. As for the power of deduction, I have the protection of the secret martial arts technique of the Blood Demon clan. It is impossible for anyone to deduce anything about me, unless it is the ancestors of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan. Red Oriole was quite confident in the secret martial arts technique of the Blood Demon clan. She could also conceal the information about Long Yu's deduction. With this secret martial arts technique, the Blood Demon clan could rise to become a first-rate demonic clan. It was obvious that they deserved their reputation. Long Yu lay on Red Oriole's chest at ease, enjoying the embrace of the beauty. He was quite relaxed and didn't worry too much. With Red Oriole here, his safety was still relatively guaranteed. Just now, several groups of experts of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan passed by, but none of them noticed the changes in the two of them. If this continued, it wouldn't be a problem for them to leave the Sacred Beast Tomb safely. As long as we leave the Sacred Beast Tomb, we will be able to return to Thunderbolt Star through the Spacetime Mark. I have set up a Spacetime Mark on Thunderbolt Star, so we can teleport directly," said Red Oriole to Long Yu. Then, she continued to transform into another appearance. She turned into an old woman. Seeing this, Long Yu did not continue to hide in her arms like a kitten. Instead, he went into her small world, which saved him a lot of trouble. Only the figure of the old woman that Red Oriole transformed into was left in the Sacred Beast Tomb. As a result, even fewer people cared about her. During this period, Red Oriole felt that many people were deducing about her. Among them, there was a very strong deduction power that almost deduced her information. Thankfully, she had practiced the secret arts of the Blood Demon clan to the 7th level. Therefore, she managed to resist the enemy's deduction. Could it be an old monster of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan? I'm afraid that the first elder has come. He is the great-grandfather of the third prince. Red Oriole thought to herself. She was still a little worried about this. If the first elder of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan's deduction power was a little stronger, her information would be deduced directly. At this moment, thousands of members of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan were still searching everywhere in the Sacred Beast Tomb. They were also spreading the news that the 7-colored crystal powder had been taken away by the human mountain ghost and the princess of the Blood Demon clan. The news was quickly spread to the ears of all the cultivators who were exploring the Sacred Beast Tomb. While everyone was searching for treasures in the Sacred Beast Tomb, they also began to pay attention to the princess and the human mountain ghost. They even began to use their deduction power to deduce the traces of Long Yu and Red Oriole. The more people deduced, the more difficult it was for Red Oriole to use her secret technique to defend herself. Soon, she felt that more and more deduction power was descending on her, making it more and more difficult for her to block the deduction information. The energy consumption was also increasing. Even though Long Yu was in her pocket dimension, he could feel the situation. Therefore, he came out of the pocket dimension and turned into a dark-skinned, brawny man. He gave Red Oriole a lot of elixirs that could restore her strength. These elixirs were obtained by Long Yu from the remains of the pocket dimension of the Suffers. He had never used them. Long Yu had the siphon totem to supplement his strength. Therefore, he did not need to take such elixirs in normal times. But now, they came in handy. This is bad. The Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan is spreading the news that we obtained the 7-colored crystal powder. More and more people are deducing our whereabouts. It's getting more and more difficult for me to resist the joint deduction of others. Red Oriole said in a low voice. How long can these elixirs last? Long Yu asked with a frown. About 12 hours. Less than half a day. But it's hard to say. If the number of people deducing my whereabouts suddenly increases, I'm afraid I won't even be able to last 12 hours. Red Oriole estimated. We must leave Thunderfire Planet within 12 hours. Long Yu made his decision. He could no longer care about the feelings of Ji Tao's remnant soul within the Thunderfire Een Saber. He had to ensure his own safety first. As for Ji Tao, she wanted to go to Thunderfire Planet to take a look. It would be the same if she returned after she was safe. In response, Ji Tao whispered to Red Oriole, "Big Sister Red Oriole, if there's any danger, we can come back to Thunderfire Planet to take a look. Let's escape first." Red Oriole felt that this Ji Tao was especially considerate. Unfortunately, she had been dead for 1,000 years and only had a remnant soul left. Otherwise, the two of them would have become very good friends. Of course, the two of them could also be said to be very good friends now. But no matter what, she felt that something was missing with the support of the power-replenishing pills provided by Long Yu. Red Oriole could last for another 12 hours. She moved forward as fast as she could. She didn't even care about the smallest level, 1 whirlpools. If she found a level, 1 whirlpool blocking her way, she would directly use blood-colored divine text to smash it. This way, her speed was much faster than before. However, the consumption of power was also more severe. Of course, it didn't matter if she used more power as long as she could leave the range of Thunderfire Planet as soon as possible. The further one divined, the more energy it would consume. As long as Red Oriole and Long Yu left the range of Thunderfire Star, not many people would be able to divine them. Even if they did manage to divine them, the energy it would consume would increase by at least 100 times. That way, it would be relatively safer. Therefore, Red Oriole didn't dare to stop at all. She rushed straight out of the demon sage tomb. Along the way, her old woman form attracted the attention of many people. Because she was too fast, no one dared to move so quickly in the demon sage tomb. It was precisely because of this that some people became suspicious. However, they carefully used their detection abilities to detect Red Oriole, but they couldn't see through her disguise. In the end, they gave up and let Red Oriole leave quickly. Even if these cultivators detected some abnormalities, it was impossible for them to catch up with Red Oriole. After all, who wouldn't be careful in the demon sage tomb? Even if they followed behind Red Oriole, they didn't dare to move so fast. Otherwise, once they collided with the remnant whirlpool of the galaxy burst, they would end up in a miserable state. Finally, after more than 10 hours, Red Oriole successfully flew out of the entire demon sage tomb with the lightning fire Een Saber and Long Yu in the small world. Red Oriole finally heaved a sigh of relief when she arrived. She took out a jade that was flashing with white light from the small world and activated the power within it. The jade that was flashing with white light was the space-time mark that marked the location. After activating the power within it, the power within it directly brought Red Oriole to Thunderfire Planet. When she was on Thunderfire Planet, she had used the space-time mark to mark the location. Therefore, she instantly crossed a distance of billions of kilometers and returned to Thunderfire Planet. Then, the space-time mark immediately shattered. It should be known that space-time marks were precious items that could only be used once. Ordinary people really couldn't afford to use them. Now, those who were still in the demon sage tomb wanted to deduce the whereabouts of Red Oriole and Long Yu. The energy they expended was at least 10 times more than before. Finally, it was more daunting than dangerous. I didn't expect so many members of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan to be mobilized. Fortunately, I have the secret techniques of the Blood Demon clan that can block the deduction. Otherwise, I would be finished. Chapter 1140. Once they reached Thunderbolt Star, the two would be a lot safer for the time being. However, it was only temporary. At this distance, it was very likely that the Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts would discover that they had returned to Thunderbolt Star. In that case, there might be a space-time imprint that would allow them to quickly teleport to Thunderbolt Star to capture the two. Little brother Long, you're going to chime Celestial River's White Feather Planet, right? Let's not delay any further. Let's go. Red Oriole said to Long Yu. At this moment, she had changed her appearance again, turning into a rustic village girl with a ponytail. She didn't look like a blood demon princess at all. Long Yu continued to stay in her miniature world and followed her to the space-time imprints transmission array on Thunderbolt Star. At this time, there were still many people trying to deduce Red Oriole and Long Yu's whereabouts. However, because of the distance, it was much easier for Red Oriole to use her secret martial arts to resist. However, there was not much time left. By the time the Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts discovered that it was 10 times more difficult to deduce Red Oriole's whereabouts, they would easily deduce that the two had left the Demon Saint's tomb and would soon catch up. Furthermore, there are Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts guarding Thunderbolt Star. Red Oriole, who had transformed into a rustic little girl, saw Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts walking around in the crowd. Even when they approached the Space-Time Imprints Transmission Array, they saw Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts guarding the transmission array's entrance, carefully inspecting everyone who passed by. Obviously, the two Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts guarding the entrance of the Space-Time Imprints Transmission Array were Golden Flood Dragon Clan's experts in the Sovereign Realm. Both of them had very sharp eyes. Obviously, their detection abilities were very high. It was not certain whether Red Oriole would be able to sneak past them. Long Yu was in Red Oriole's miniature world, so he didn't feel too strongly. However, the closer Red Oriole got to the Space-Time Imprints Transmission Array, the faster her heart beat. Fortunately, she operated the balanced control that Long Yu taught her, concealing her original Blood Demon Princess aura on a deeper level. Only then did she gradually calm down. Taking a deep breath, Red Oriole walked towards the Space-Time Imprints Transmission Array. 1 step, 2 steps, the two Golden Flood Dragon Race's Grand Sovereign Realm experts swept their gazes over everyone that passed by. Of course, they didn't miss Red Oriole. However, their gazes only lingered on Red Oriole for a brief moment before shifting away. Clearly, they hadn't seen through Red Oriole's disguise, and they didn't suspect her at all. Red Oriole's disguise technique was already very powerful. Now, with the addition of Long Yu's balanced control, even a Sovereign Realm expert who specialized in probing wouldn't be able to see through her disguise. This delighted Red Oriole, but she did not show it on her face. Instead, she calmly walked towards the Space-Time Imprints Teleportation Array. Fortunately, there were quite a few people walking towards the teleportation array as well, so it was more likely that she would be able to fool her way through. Soon, Red Oriole passed by the two Sovereign Realm Golden Flood Dragon Race experts and stepped into the time-space transmission array. After asking around for some information, she proceeded to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor of the time-space transmission array led to the Demon Jade Star. Red Oriole could only wait here for a while. After all, she couldn't expose her identity at the moment, and it was impossible for anyone to open the transmission array for her in advance. Since Thunderbolt Star wasn't one of the Iron Wall Celestial River's main cultivation planets, the time-space transmission array here couldn't send cultivators to other celestial rivers. If she wanted to go to Chime Galaxy's White Feather Star, she had to return to the Demon Jade Star first. Fortunately, the time-space transmission array from Thunderbolt Star to the Demon Jade Star was the most commonly used transmission array. Therefore, the interval between its activation was relatively short. Soon, a total of 1,000 cultivators gathered in the 3rd layer of the spacetime mark, wanting to go to Monster Jade Star. Everyone had already paid 50,000 monster coins before entering. Of course, this was nothing for Red Oriole, but for ordinary cultivators, it was an extremely expensive service. Because of this, not many people could afford to use the time-space transmission array. After 1,000 cultivators had gathered, the space-time imprint teleportation array was finally activated. All 1,000 cultivators stood on the teleportation array. Then, the teleportation array activated and instantly teleported these 1,000 cultivators to Monster Jade Star. At this time, the news that Red Oriole and Long Yu had left the Demon Saint Tomb reached Thunderbolt Star, prompting the Golden Flood Dragon Race experts stationed on Thunderbolt Star to search for them. Unfortunately, they didn't know that Red Oriole had already taken Long Yu and left Thunderbolt Star. After arriving at Demon Jade Star, the flow of people increased. Moreover, Demon Jade Star, as one of the 4 major cultivation galaxies of the Iron Wall Celestial River, had a deduction forbidden array on its surface. In other words, as long as people were within the range of Demon Jade Star and were in the deduction forbidden array, there would be a layer of automatic shielding and deduction power, making it impossible for people to deduce anything. This undoubtedly made Red Oriole safer. Moreover, the spacetime imprint teleportation array from Monster Jade Star to Chime Celestial River's White Feather Star could be activated in 2 hours. During this time, it would be almost impossible for the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan to find Red Oriole. The Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan was still constantly deducing Red Oriole's existence, but the deduction power was blocked by the deduction forbidden array on Demon Jade Star, making no progress. Red Oriole breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, she relied on long-used recovery elixirs to barely survive. Now, she finally didn't have to actively resist the other party's deduction. 2 hours later, the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan finally realized that Red Oriole and Long Yu had returned to Demon Jade Star, but it was too late for them to catch up. With the activation of the time-space transmission array, the 2 figures, along with thousands of people, were directly teleported to Chiming Celestial River's White Feather Star, hundreds of millions of miles away. Chiming Celestial River. After Long Yu came to the Beyond Heavens world, the first cultivators he saw were Qing Feng's group from the White Feather Monstrous Clan and Ruo Kai Meng's group from the Golden Moon Monstrous Clan. After returning from the Celestial River ancient ruins, Long Yu had always wanted to go to Chiming Celestial River, the territory of the White Feather Monstrous Clan, to obtain a stable cultivation environment. At the same time, he could help the Holy Emperor test the bloodline in his body. But when he arrived at White Feather Star with Red Oriole, he found that the current situation of White Feather Star was different from what he had imagined. According to reason, White Feather Star in Chiming Celestial River had a similar status as Demon Jade Star in Iron Wall Celestial River. As one of the main cultivation planets, it should be an extremely prosperous place. But when Long Yu appeared on White Feather Star, he found that he was wrong. When he arrived at White Feather Star, he found that the place seemed to be very chaotic. Just as he walked out of the time-space transmission array, he saw the entire city shouting and killing. Groups of cultivators were shouting and killing everywhere. The whole scene was extremely chaotic. Has White Feather Star always been like this? Long Yu felt a little stunned and asked Red Oriole next to him. After walking out of the time-space transmission array, both of them returned to their original forms. After all, maintaining an illusion consumed a lot of energy. Since they had come to White Feather Star, they could directly manifest their original forms. Anyway, they had already crossed the Celestial River. Even the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's Grand Elder couldn't deduce their location. Red Oriole narrowed her eyes and said, "Of course not. I heard that Chiming Celestial River is in some turmoil. My cousin Shui Luo also mentioned it before, but I didn't expect it to be this chaotic. Come on, let's go and ask about the situation. What's going on? It stands to reason that the main cultivation planet of a celestial river can't be so chaotic. It's really incomprehensible." Long Yu nodded his head. He was also a little confused by the situation in front of him. Originally, he wanted to have a safe and stable cultivation environment. However, if this place was so chaotic, how could he talk about cultivating in peace? The two of them walked towards the street, found 2 weak-looking Transcendent Secret Realm kids, and asked them what was going on here. After all, Red Oriole was a superior Sovereign Realm expert. The 2 kids answered her directly. After listening to the 2, Long Yu and Red Oriole looked at each other and saw the seriousness in each other's eyes. From the 2 kids' answers, they knew that the chaos on White Feather Star had already begun a month ago. The root of the whole thing was actually the Black Scale Monster Clan and the Golden Moon Monster Clan joining hands to suppress the White Feather Monster Clan. In the entire chiming celestial river, the Black Scale Monster Clan, the Golden Moon Monster Clan, and the White Feather Monster Clan were the three overlords of the entire celestial river. Together, they occupied half of chiming celestial river's territory. Now that the Black Scale Monster Clan and the Golden Moon Monster Clan had joined hands to deal with the White Feather Monster Clan, it naturally caused a huge impact. The most direct impact was that the White Feather Star had become chaotic. Because the White Feather Monster Clan couldn't even take care of themselves, how could they have the time to manage this planet? Even the White Feather Monster Clan on White Feather Star had either escaped or died. There weren't many of them left. Instead, the Black Scale Monster Clan and the Golden Moon Monster Clan's beast cultivators were very popular. The Black Scale Monster Clan and the Golden Moon Monster Clan joined hands to deal with the White Feather Monster Clan. How is this possible? Long Yu was extremely shocked. One should know that when he met Qing Feng, it was the Black Scale Monster Clan who was chasing after Qing Feng and the Golden Moon Monster Clan's Ruo Kai Meng. In the end, Ruo Kai Meng was also killed by the Black Scale Monster Clan's Imperial Devil Absolute. Why did the Golden Moon Monster Clan help the Black Scale Monster Clan to deal with the White Feather Monster Clan? Could it be that there were some secrets that Long Yu didn't know? However, in this case, it could be seen that the overall situation of the White Feather Monster Clan was very disadvantageous to the White Feather Monster Clan. With the strength of one clan fighting against the joint forces of two clans, it was likely that they had reached the end of the road. Otherwise, the White Feather Star wouldn't be in such a mess. In that case, it can be said that my desire for a stable cultivation environment has gone up in smoke. However, I can't ignore this matter. At least, I have to find Qing Feng first and test the bloodline of the Sacred Emperor. Chapter 1141. After the two boys left, Red Oriole looked at Long Yu and said, "I can tell from your eyes that you don't want to give up. What are you going to do?" Long Yu frowned and pondered for a moment. Then, he said, "Red Oriole, you've cultivated the secret martial arts technique of the Blood Fey clan. Are you better at deduction than ordinary people? Why don't you try to deduce Qing Feng of the White Fey clan?" "I haven't seen him, so I'm afraid I can't deduce him. Besides, if he's still on the White Fey planet, it's the main planet for cultivation and has a forbidden formation." Red Oriole shook her head and chuckled. "It'll be very difficult for you to find your old friend. Besides, the White Fey clan is being attacked by the Black Scale Monster Clan and the Golden Moon Monster Clan. They must be hiding. If your old friend is still alive, there must be a lot of people who want to find him. It seems quite troublesome. However, I can't be at ease if I don't find him. Also, I want to test the bloodline of a friend of mine. Her bloodline is similar to the White Fey clan's, but slightly different. Only the White Fey clan can test it." Long Yu said. "That's true. Is your friend who wants to test her bloodline in your small world?" Red Oriole asked. "That's right." Long Yu thought for a moment and informed the Sage Emperor. Then, he brought the Sage Emperor out of the small world. "Sage Emperor, this is Red Oriole, the princess of the Blood Fey clan. We're now on the White Fey planet of the White Fey clan. However, the White Fey clan is being hunted by the other two clans. The situation is a bit chaotic," Long Yu said to the Sage Emperor. It had been a long time since the Sage Emperor had come out of the Netherworld realm. During this period of time, he had been cultivating and thinking about what bloodline he had. Now that he had been called out by Long Yu and had suddenly come to the chaotic planet Baiyu, he was quite surprised. When the Sage Emperor saw Red Oriole, he was stunned. He thought that Long Yu was quite lucky with women. He had met such a beautiful woman and even became her companion. The Sage Emperor could naturally tell that Red Oriole's martial realm was extremely terrifying, which was why he found it inconceivable. However, there were many inconceivable things that had happened to Long Yu, and this was not the only one. Red Oriole studied the Saint Emperor before narrowing her eyes. She teased Long Yu, Brother Long, are you keeping a mistress in your house? She's such a beauty, but you haven't let her out since you've known her. What a waste. What nonsense are you spouting? Long Yu was puzzled. I'm not talking nonsense. Tell me, how many more beauties are you hiding in the pocket dimension? Red Oriole seemed to be quite interested in this. Long Yu glanced at her. Do you really want to know? Then let me tell you, there are still a lot of them, you can't even count them all. But if that's the case, there must be a lot of handsome men hidden in your pocket world. Long Yu wasn't willing to be outdone and immediately retaliated. This Red Oriole's words were simply too embarrassing, so he had to retaliate. Red Oriole giggled. There are quite a few, but it's not the same. I don't know the existences in my pocket world. I only treat them as a part of it. I'm not like you, who are good friends with all the beauties in your pocket world. Long Yu couldn't win against her in an argument, so he gave up. Let's discuss what we should do now. I'm afraid it won't be that easy to find like Qingfeng. Long Yu sighed and swept his gaze around. Suddenly, he was stunned, because he saw a human race youth wearing a gray robe sneakily walking towards them. Who is this person? Just as Long Yu was thinking this, the gray-robed youth had already approached. He carefully lowered his voice and asked, "Is it Long Yu and the Sage Emperor?" These words gave Long Yu a fright. It had to be said that Long Yu had always referred to himself as the Mountain Ghost. Apart from like Qingfeng, the only people who knew that his true identity was Long Yu were Red Oriole and the Sage Emperor. How did this youth know? Long Yu frowned slightly. After a moment's thought, he deduced that this gray-robed youth was definitely related to like Qingfeng. Otherwise, there was no way he could know his true identity. Not only that, but he also knew the Sage Emperor's identity. Even Red Oriole wouldn't have known about the Sage Emperor's existence before this. "Who are you?" Long Yu asked in a low voice. Red Oriole also became vigilant. She withdrew her aura, and blood-red divine runes silently condensed in her hand. If the gray-robed youth showed any signs of suspicion, she would immediately kill him. "I am young Master Qingfeng's friend. He is currently in a very bad situation. He asked me to wait here for Long Yu and the Sage Emperor to arrive, then bring you two to see young Master Qingfeng." When the gray-robed youth heard Long Yu's reply, he did not evade the question. Instead, he raised his head and looked at Long Yu with eager eyes. "Would the two of you be willing to come with me to see young Master Qingfeng?" These words were probably true. Long Yu quickly deduced that if someone had ill intentions, there was no need to act so mysterious. Since they had recognized him, they could have just dealt with him directly. Therefore, what this person had said was most likely true. Bring me with you." Long Yu nodded. He had originally been worried about how he would find like Qingfeng. He did not expect that like Qingfeng would have arranged for someone to wait for him here. "And this is..." The gray-robed youth glanced at Red Oriole, who was standing next to Long Yu. He did not recognize this blood demon princess. "Her name is Red Oriole. She is a princess of the Blood Demon clan and a friend of mine. Let's go together," Long Yu said. Like Qingfeng's current location was definitely very well hidden. It was completely normal for the gray-robed youth to be cautious. Therefore, when he heard Red Oriole's identity, he could not help but feel a little confused. "I am afraid that the Blood Demon clan is not suitable to participate in this matter. It's fine. I can be of help." Red Oriole smiled slightly. She did not show any dissatisfaction. Instead, she rather admired this person. When he heard that she was a princess of the Blood Demon clan, he did not show any fear. Instead, he directly opposed her coming with him. Regardless of whether it was out of sincerity toward like Qingfeng or out of consideration for Red Oriole's safety, this person's character was not bad. The gray-robed youth fell silent. He glanced at Long Yu and said, "Master Long Yu, young Master Qingfeng has said that everything is up to you. If you have no objections, the princess is also willing to follow us. Then let's go." Red Oriole has gone through fire and water with me. She is one of my best friends in the demon clan," Long Yu said with a wave of his hand. If it was up to him, of course he would bring Red Oriole with him. Only then did the gray-robed youth nod his head. Then, he led the three of them to a secluded area. After many twists and turns, the four of them arrived at a place where there was no one around. Then, the gray-robed youth activated the strength in his body and activated an aura-shielding formation around them. "Come, this is a spacetime seal. Through this spacetime seal, we can be transported to where young Master Qingfeng is," the gray-robed youth said in a low voice. "Right now, young Master Qingfeng is in a very dangerous situation. You can choose not to go. Young Master Qingfeng has said that he will not blame you. It's fine. Let's go." Since Long Yu had already come, there was no way he would back down. He nodded his head resolutely. Then, the gray-robed youth activated the spacetime seal in his hand. Then, the power of the seal enveloped all four of them. Under the effect of the aura-shielding formation, the commotion here did not attract the attention of anyone else in the city. After the white light flashed, Long Yu opened his eyes. He found himself in an incomparably dark cave. It seemed to be the deepest part of a cave. The surrounding cave walls had some kind of shielding property. This must be the place where Qingfeng was hiding. Long Yu and Red Oriole subconsciously used the martial arts' secret technique balanced control to hide their auras. At the same time, they spread out to probe their surroundings. Soon, they had a grasp of the situation in the entire cave. It was a gourd-shaped cave. There was no entrance. Instead, it was a completely sealed cave. It was about 100 miles long. The two largest caves could accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. Here, Long Yu detected many White Feather Monster Clan experts. They were all hiding in this cave. It seemed that they had been chased here. As there was no entrance to the cave, and the walls around the cave could block probing, it was relatively safe to hide here for the time being. Long Yu quickly found Qingfeng in the crowd. Before him, the gray-robed youth, who had brought them here, had already run toward a certain corner of the crowd. He was running toward Qingfeng. "Young Master Qingfeng, Long Yu and Lord Sage Emperor have arrived," the gray-robed youth said with some excitement. "The princess of the Blood Demon clan has also arrived." His last sentence immediately caused a huge commotion in the cave. The princess of the Blood Demon clan has actually come here? Since she has brought her here, she should be on friendly terms, right? The White Feather Monster clan was currently in a very bad situation. However, if they had the help of the Blood Demon clan, not to mention the Black Scale Monster clan and the Golden Moon Monster clan joining hands, even if their opponent's strength was doubled, they would not be afraid at all. Many of the elders of the White Feather Monster clan were already pondering how they could drag the Blood Demon clan down with them. This was a rare opportunity for them, a chance to turn the tables. Naturally, Red Oriole and Long Yu were unaware of this. They directly brought the Sage Emperor and walked toward Qingfeng in the crowd. Although the cave was pitch black, every cultivator had their own means of probing. As such, it was not much different from being in the outside world. Qingfeng stood up and walked toward Long Yu. Soon, the two parties met up. "Brother Long, you're finally here. I'm truly sorry. We agreed to provide you with a safe and stable environment for cultivation. But now, it seems that we won't even be able to protect ourselves." Sigh. Qingfeng's expression was somewhat emotional and somewhat guilty. What exactly is going on? Why would the Black Scale Monster clan and the Golden Moon Monster clan join hands to deal with your White Feather Monster clan? Long Yu was unable to understand the situation, no matter how he thought about it. As such, he raised the question first. Chapter 1142. In response to Long Yu's question, seemingly Qingfeng smiled helplessly and replied, "Isn't it because of what happened in the ancient ruins?" Then, seemingly Qingfeng recounted in detail what happened after he returned to the White Feather Planet. It turned out that the reason why seemingly Qingfeng was chased by the Black Scale Monster Clan was because he had eaten a holy fruit of the Black Scale Monster Clan. That holy fruit had the effect of cleansing one's muscles and marrow, increasing a cultivator's martial talent by a large margin. All along, only the young geniuses of the Black Scale Monster Clan were qualified to eat the holy fruit of the Black Scale Monster Clan. However, there was an accident, and seemingly Qingfeng didn't know that it was the holy fruit of the Black Scale Monster Clan. He only felt that it contained a lot of heaven and earth spiritual qi and the power of creation, so he ate it directly. Because of this, he was chased by the Black Scale Monster Clan. On one hand, he had eaten their holy fruit, and on the other hand, after eating the holy fruit, seemingly Qingfeng's martial talent would increase by a lot. One had to know that seemingly Qingfeng was already very powerful, so wouldn't he be even more powerful after eating the holy fruit? The Black Scale Monster Clan and the White Feather Monster Clan had always been competitors. Of course, they couldn't let seemingly Qingfeng rise. Therefore, even if they had to chase him to the ancient ruins, they had to kill him. At that time, seemingly Qingfeng was together with Ruo Kai Meng of the Golden Moon Monster Clan. He could only send a message to the clan and escape to the ancient ruins. Then, he met Long Yu, and the following things happened. After that, seemingly Qingfeng was brought back to the White Feather Planet by the elders of the White Feather Monster Clan, but Ruo Kai Meng and the others of the Golden Moon Monster Clan died in the ancient ruins. The experts of the Black Scale Monster Clan, including Yu Moju, died and didn't return. The only ones who could return to the White Feather Planet were seemingly Qingfeng and a few others from the White Feather Monster Clan. As for the Golden Moon Monster Clan, they naturally sent people to inquire about it. Of course, seemingly Qingfeng told them the truth, saying that they encountered the remnant of the bone race, and that Ruo Kai Meng, Yu Moju, and the others were all killed by the remnant of the bone race. As for seemingly Qingfeng, he managed to escape with great difficulty, and coincidentally met the elders of the White Feather Monster Clan. This news attracted the attention of the Demon Race Alliance. Very quickly, they sent many sovereign secret realm experts to the ancient ruins to search for the remnant of the bone race. Unfortunately, they did not find any news of the bone race. Because of that, the Golden Moon Monstrous Clan became suspicious of Qingfeng's words. Adding on the fact that the Black Scale Monstrous Clan might have been instigating them to sow dissension, the Golden Moon Monstrous Clan ended up joining hands with the Black Scale Monstrous Clan to take care of the White Feather Monstrous Clan. Of course, this matter was only a fuse. In fact, the White Feather Monstrous Clan had occupied the most cultivation resources among the three clans. As such, the other two clans had long since become envious of them. Thus, it was only natural for them to use this matter to join hands. Thus, a joint war against the White Feather Monstrous Clan broke out just like that. Furthermore, the Monstrous Race Alliance would not pay too much attention to such matters. In the Monstrous Race's territory, many monstrous clans would go extinct every year due to conflicts between them and other monstrous clans. It was impossible to prevent such conflicts between monstrous clans. Even if it was temporarily suppressed, the hatred between the two clans was already there. One day, it would erupt again. Thus, it was better to just ignore it and let them settle it. As such, the White Feather Monstrous Clan, the Golden Moon Monstrous Clan, and the Black Scale Monstrous Clan started their war without any external interference. When the Black Scale Monstrous Clan and the Golden Moon Monstrous Clan joined hands, their strength far surpassed that of the White Feather Monstrous Clan. Thus, they soon occupied the other cultivation planets around the White Feather Planet, leaving only the White Feather Planet. The White Feather Planet was the largest cultivation planet of the White Feather Monstrous Clan. After all, there were several dozen sovereigns on the planet. It was impossible for it to be occupied so easily. Thus, there was still a lot of resistance on the planet. In the White Feather Monstrous Clan, Qingfeng was not like Hong Jun in the Blood Monstrous Clan. He was a prince who was doted on by countless people. He was merely an ordinary young master of a noble clan. His father was a relatively ordinary sovereign expert in the White Feather Monstrous clan. After the incident, the White Feather Monstrous clan's elder cabinet expelled Qing Feng and his father's faction from the White Feather Monstrous clan. This was definitely a huge blow to Qing Feng and his father's faction. On one hand, they had to face the joint attacks of the Black Scale Monstrous clan and the Golden Moon Monstrous clan. On the other hand, they had to face the hostility of the other factions of the White Feather Monstrous clan. What? The White Feather Monstrous clan is facing a crisis, and the Elder Cabinet is abandoning you? Long Yu was surprised. He did not expect the White Feather Monstrous clan's Elder Cabinet to do such a thing. Furthermore, from Qing Feng's words, Long Yu could tell that Qing Feng's faction had quite a lot of people. Originally, they had occupied a large territory on the White Feather planet. Now, there were less than 100,000 people left in the cave. They were all the last seedlings of their faction. No wonder. Long Yu's face sank. When he arrived at the cave, he had already sensed that there were only 2 sovereign realm existences in the cave. The strongest among them were only 4 or 5 higher sovereign realm existences. Their overall strength could be said to be extremely weak. It was impossible for the White Feather Monstrous clan to only have so few people left. It turned out that Qing Feng and his father's faction had been completely abandoned. Then, what about the rest of the White Feather Monstrous clan? Are they still chasing after you? Red Oriole asked. That's right. Qing Feng said in a deep voice. It's very difficult for us to even leave the White Feather planet. If this continues, we'll be discovered one day. I'm afraid that all the 100,000 clansmen here will die. Long Yu's eyes narrowed and he made a guess. So you want me to bring you out of here? After all, I have a small world, right? This guess was not baseless. Long Yu put himself in Qing Feng's shoes and thought about it from the perspective of Qing Feng. This was the only way for them to escape from Planet Bayou. That's right. The only one who can bring us out is you, Brother Long, Qing Feng said in a deep voice. These words were not spoken carelessly. From several aspects, it was true that only Long Yu could lead them out of this place. First, Long Yu was still in the Emperor realm. He was a 4-star Emperor. If he wanted to use the time-space transmission array, the guards would not be too vigilant. Second, the risk of entering someone else's small world was high, not to mention the 100,000 of them. If they randomly picked a sovereign secret realm expert to enter their small world and asked him to bring them out, they would be in real danger. Who knew, that expert might hand them over to the Black Qilin clan or Golden Moon clan. Entering someone else's pocket world was a good way to escape, but the biggest problem they had to face was the problem of trust. Qing Feng had no way of trusting ordinary people. However, he still had some trust in Long Yu. Therefore, he intentionally sent a human youth to wait near the space-time imprint transmission array. Once he discovered traces of Long Yu, he would immediately bring him over. So that's how it is. Have you told your father and the others about this method? Long Yu asked. I've told them. They are still discussing it. Qing Feng sighed and shook his head. After all, I'm the only one who trusts you, so there's nothing I can do about it. Even in my father's faction, there are many people who don't trust you, so there's nothing we can do about it. Brother Long, I hope you can convince my uncles to enter your small world. After all, this is the only way out. I'm afraid it won't be easy to convince them. Long Yu frowned. He didn't think that he could convince the stubborn old men. After all, he didn't know them at all. Even if they were his uncles from the White Feather clan, it would be difficult for them to trust him, Long Yu. It wasn't a question of whether it was easy, but whether it was possible. My father is willing to trust us, but he can't convince my uncles. Now that you're here, you can gather everyone together and discuss it. It's best if we leave this place as soon as possible because I'm afraid it won't take long for them to find this cave. Qing Feng's words were filled with worry. Amen, we'll talk about that later. Also, regarding the Sage Emperor's bloodline, can you test it here? Asked Long Yu. Not here. It can only be done in our White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace. There are White Feather Divine Stones for bloodline testing. Qing Feng raised his head and took a glance at Red Oriole, who was beside Long Yu. Since this is the princess of the Blood Monstrous Clan, the White Feather Monstrous Clan will definitely welcome her with open arms if she brings the Sage Emperor to the Imperial Palace. Long Yu thought about it and felt that it was reasonable. It would be impossible for Qing Feng to bring them to the White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace. Otherwise, it would be the same as walking into a trap. After all, the White Feather Monstrous Clan was doing everything they could to capture Qing Feng. As for Long Yu, it would also be inconvenient for him to go. After all, he had experienced what had happened in the ancient remnant of the Starry River. If the White Feather Monstrous Clan were to make a divination, they might be able to deduce some clues. That would not be appropriate either. Furthermore, the most important thing for Long Yu was to stay here and convince Qing Feng's uncles. After all, they were all superior rulers, and 2 of them were great rulers. If he were to bring them to the 9 netherworlds, it would increase Long Yu's strength by a lot. In any case, it would not be detrimental to him. Thus, he was more than willing to do it. Just like how he saved the Bone Clan's remnant clan, if he were to save Qing Feng's White Feather Monstrous Clan, it would only be beneficial to Long Yu. I have no problem with that. In that case, little brother Long, shall we split up? I'll bring the Sage Emperor to the White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace to test his bloodline. You stay here and persuade them, regardless of whether you succeed or not. I'll wait for you near the Spacetime Imprint's teleportation formation in 3 days' time. Red Oriole said. Amen, Long Yu nodded. Red Oriole was trustworthy. It would not be a problem for the Sage Emperor to follow her. It would be good for him to take this opportunity to test his bloodline. After all, it would not take long for him to make a round trip. Chapter 1143. After learning of Red Oriole's plan, seemingly Qing Feng did not say anything else. He took out a white spacetime imprint from his bosom. This spacetime imprint can teleport you to the vicinity of the White Feather Monstrous Clan's palace. It will save you a lot of time, seemingly Qing Feng said as he handed the white spacetime imprint to Red Oriole. Red Oriole received it and said with a smile, "Many thanks. You're welcome." Seemingly Qing Feng smiled. After receiving the spacetime imprint, Red Oriole moved closer to Long Yu. Long Yu was slightly baffled. What is Red Oriole trying to do? As the 2 of them approached, Long Yu could already smell her fragrance. Suddenly, Red Oriole kissed Long Yu's cheek. Hee little brother Long, I'll be leaving first. Don't die. Long Yu's mind went blank from the kiss. If Red Oriole had behaved intimately before, Long Yu could understand it. However, the kiss made him overthink things. Could it be that this girl has fallen in love with me? Long Yu couldn't help but wonder. He hadn't noticed it before, but now that he thought about it, the 2 of them had behaved intimately quite a few times after he got together with Red Oriole. Although Red Oriole had taken the initiative, it seemed to have already surpassed the boundaries of normal friendship. That's impossible. I'm a human, and she's a princess of the Blood Monstrous Clan. Regardless of how you look at it, it's impossible for her to fall for me. Long Yu couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought about it. It must be known that there was not only a difference in race between the 2 of them, there was also a difference in strength and status. Most importantly, Long Yu didn't feel that he had displayed anything that was particularly attractive to women. But no matter what, it was a fact that Red Oriole had kissed Long Yu before she left. Then, before Long Yu could say anything, Red Oriole pulled the Saint Emperor and activated the spacetime imprint to teleport away. All that was left was a burst of fragrance that lingered around Long Yu, curling around his heartstrings. Brother Long, this is incredible. You couldn't possibly have managed to win over the Blood Monstrous Princess, right? Impressive. While Long Yu was still in a daze, Clear Wind's eyes were shining. He was quite shocked by Red Oriole's actions. To be honest, Ching Feng had heard of the name of Princess Blood Demon long ago, but he had never seen her in person. Now, not only did he see her in person, but he also saw Princess Blood Demon kiss Long Yu and act quite intimate with Long Yu. Could it be that the legendary Princess Blood Demon's heart had been captured by Long Yu? Don't think too much about it. She's a demon, and I'm a human. She's far inferior. Besides, she's always been like this. Long Yu said to Ching Feng with a black face. Always? Could it be that she usually kisses other people and is so intimate with other men? Ching Feng asked in astonishment. Long Yu did not answer. However, in retrospect, it seemed that Red Oriole had never been so intimate with another man. Even kissing and hugging her brother Red Monarch was not a big deal, but she had never done that before. Ever since Long Yu met Red Oriole, it seemed that he was the only man she had been so intimate with. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't say this out loud. Instead, he coughed and said to Ching Feng, all right. Hurry up and convince your uncles. If they don't come with me, things will get troublesome. That's true. Ching Feng quickly put away his gossipy heart. He knew what was most important to him at the moment, and that was to lead the 100,000 white feather beasts in the cave and escape from planet White Feather. Long Yu and Ching Feng walked deeper into the cave together. In the deepest part of the cave, Ching Feng's father was discussing something with many elders. Ching Feng, you're here. Ching Feng's father said in a deep voice. His voice was very steady, and it was clear that he was the calm type. Father, this is the Long Yu I've been telling you about, Brother Long Yu. Brother Long, this is my father, Ching Lei. Ching Feng introduced Long Yu and his father to each other. Hello, Senior Lei. Long Yu nodded in greeting. As the cave was pitch black, Long Yu did not know what Sky Thunder looked like. Even with balanced control, he could only detect that it was a tall and sturdy man. He could not detect what his face looked like. Spiritual sense could not completely replace the naked eye. That's right, Father, the Princess of the Blood Beasts came with Brother Long just now. She has brought her friend to the palace for a bloodline test. I suspect that Senior Holy Emperor is the legendary White Feather Immortal Beasts. Ching Feng said solemnly. White Feather Immortal Beasts. Whether he is or not, our faction has reached the end of the road. Even if there is a White Feather Immortal Beasts, it has nothing to do with us. A middle-aged White Feather Beasts cultivator said. This person was one of Ching Feng's uncles, and was a higher sovereign realm expert. Brother Ching Feng has explained your current situation to me. If you are willing, I can indeed let you stay in my small world, and try to take you away from planet White Feather. Long Yu took the initiative and said, Little brother, it's not that we don't trust you, but it's really difficult to make a decision about going to someone else's small world. The middle-aged White Feather Beasts cultivator said awkwardly. This was the mentality of a normal person. Other than Ching Feng and Lei Tianlei, almost everyone else had the same mentality. After all, they did not know Long Yu. If they believed Long Yu and went to Long Yu's small world based on Ching Feng's one-sided statement, wouldn't it be a tragedy if Long Yu had ill intentions? However, it's not a solution for you to keep hiding here. I'm afraid that in a few days, the Black Qilin Beasts and the Golden Moon Beasts will join forces with the White Feather Beasts to find this place. No matter how you struggle at death's door, you're still going to die. Why don't you try to trust me this once? Long Yu naturally knew how to persuade the other party. No, it was not how to persuade, but how to persuade the other party. This kind of thing, no matter what he said, it would be very difficult for the other party to believe him. This was also human nature. Many people fell into deep thought after hearing Long Yu's word. However, someone said, What's the relationship between you and the princess of the Blood Feather clan? I can feel that you're quite close to her. We're only friends. However, we've gone through a lot together, so our relationship is quite good. Long Yu said honestly. He had an idea. If he were to fabricate that he and Red Oriole were a couple, these people would definitely be willing to follow him to the Nine Netherworlds realm. However, Long Yu could not say the same. Previously, he had lied to the absolute demon sovereign by saying that he was Consort Yu's disciple and Zhua Banyan's fiancé. It was all nonsense to save his own life. But now there was no need for Long Yu to lie. As such, he decided to tell the truth. However, Qing Feng immediately added fuel to the fire when he heard Chu Feng's words. What friends? They were so intimate earlier. They're definitely a couple. Even if they're not for the time being, they'll definitely be in the future. I can tell that the princess treats you very well. If that's the case, there's no problem. With the princess on our side, what do we have to fear? An elder of the White Feather Demon clan sighed. After we leave this place, we can go to the Blood Demon clan. They occupy a galaxy on their own. It shouldn't be a problem for them to establish a cultivation planet for you to live on. Long Yu proposed an enticement. For the White Feather Demon clan who were on the run, the temptation was almost fatal. They had no home right now. Not only did they lack training resources, they did not even have an environment for training. Long Yu said that he could provide them with a cultivation planet in the Blood Demon Galaxy. It was almost heaven for them. It was a pity that they were all old foxes. They would not believe Long Yu so easily. You said that we can live on a cultivation planet in the Blood Demon Galaxy. What makes you think you can do that? You said it yourself that you and the princess are just friends. How can you influence the decision of the Blood Demon clan? Someone snorted coldly. He was the guy who had intended to use Red Oriole to drag the Blood Demon clan into trouble the moment he saw her. It was a pity that Long Yu did not know that. As I said, it's just a possibility. Of course, you have to fight for it on your own. I'm only responsible for bringing you away from this place. Of course, if you are unwilling to leave, so be it. It won't do me any good anyway. Long Yu was a bit angry after hearing what the guy said, too. He had come to save the guy, but why was the guy talking to him in such a way that he deserved a beating? Had it not been for the sake of Qing Feng, Long Yu would have turned around and left a long time ago. He would not have bothered to talk to those guys at all. All right. Be more polite with your words. Little brother Long Yu came to take us away with good intentions. Qing Feng waved his hands and said calmly, in my opinion, our only way out is indeed to be taken away by brother Long Yu, Qing Feng. Qing Feng and the cultivators of the White Feather Monstrous clan continued to discuss the matter. Long Yu did not say anything. He merely observed those people, and discovered that they did not realize what the name Long Yu represented. Long Yu was related to Consort Yu, and was one of the key figures that had caused Consort Yu to leave the Nine Nether clan. However, the people of the White Feather Monstrous clan seemed to be caught between life and death. Thus, they did not realize that. Or perhaps, they did not have the leisure to inquire about such distant matters. While Long Yu, Qing Feng and the others were discussing how to convince those people to enter the Nine Nether realm, Red Oriole had brought the Sage Emperor and the two women to the vicinity of the White Feather Monstrous clan's imperial palace through the space-time imprint. The vicinity of the White Feather Monstrous clan's imperial palace was rather chaotic. However, it was much better than the space-time imprint's teleportation formation. At the very least, there were no cases of people being robbed on the street. Come, let's go in. Chapter 1144. Red Oriole and the Sage Emperor walked toward the White Feather Monstrous clan's imperial palace. Although the situation near the imperial palace was better than other places, it was still rather chaotic. There was only a row of guards standing at the entrance, but they were only at the level of the emperor. If a ruler's secret realm expert were to barge in, they would definitely not be able to stop them. As the Sage Emperor walked toward the White Feather Monstrous clan's imperial palace, he sized up Red Oriole. He suddenly asked, Miss Red Oriole, is there something between you and Long Yu? The question she wanted to ask was exactly what Qing Feng and the others wanted to ask. However, they didn't have the opportunity to ask. Only the Sage Emperor had the opportunity to do so. Furthermore, the Sage Emperor seemed rather embarrassed when he asked the question. There's nothing between him and me. Red Oriole giggled. If you like little brother Long, go ahead. He's a pretty good lad. Not at all. I'm just a bit curious. You seem to be quite intimate with him. The Sage Emperor shook his head. Don't think too much about it. Once you reach the White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace, you'll be able to find out what bloodline you have. Little brother Long seems to value you quite a bit. Red Oriole smiled. Then, she raised her head and saw that the dozen or so White Feather Monstrous Clan's guards at the entrance of the White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace were all extremely nervous. After all, it was only natural for them to become nervous when they saw two women, one of whom was a higher ruler, walking toward them. May I ask? One of the guards gulped. He stepped forward and asked the two of them respectfully and nervously. He seemed to want to know what they were doing there. Before he could finish his question, Red Oriole said, I am Red Oriole of the Blood Feather Clan. This is my friend, the Sage Emperor. I'll bring her here to test her bloodline, is that okay? Red Oriole of the Blood Feather Clan? The guard frowned slightly. Then, another person behind him immediately reminded him, Isn't Red Oriole the princess of the Blood Feather Clan? Step aside for Her Highness. The group of guards immediately panicked. They quickly spread out to the side of the Imperial Palace's gate. Princess Bloodfeather, please come in. I'll go and inform our superiors. Two of them directly ran into the Imperial Palace. Likely, they had gone to notify the experts of the White Feather Monstrous Clan. As for the others, they all stepped aside. They did not dare to block Red Oriole and the Saint Emperor's path. The two women walked forward. Soon, they entered the Imperial Palace. Then, they saw several experts from the White Feather Monstrous Clan rushing over. Princess Blood Demon, please forgive me. I didn't know you were coming. The leader of the group was a slightly plump White Feather Monstrous Clan's expert. He was a great ruler. Likely, he possessed quite a high status in the entire White Feather Monstrous Clan. However, he was extremely cautious when facing Red Oriole. Not to mention the White Feather Monstrous Clan, which was in the middle of a war, even the White Feather Monstrous Clan could not afford to provoke such a behemoth as the Blood Demon Clan. It's fine. I'll just bring my friend to have his bloodline tested. Red Oriole narrowed her eyes and said bluntly, Yes, yes, please follow me. The slightly plump great ruler of the White Feather Monstrous Clan hurriedly turned around and led the way. To the White Feather Monstrous Clan, the Blood Demon Clan was simply a colossus. Thus, he could not be blamed for being so servile. After all, if he were to befriend the Blood Demon Clan, it would bring countless benefits to the entire White Feather Monstrous Clan. However, what he didn't know was that no matter how well he behaved, Red Oriole still looked down on the White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace. When they encountered difficulties, those people actually abandoned their own clansmen, and even joined hands with outsiders to hunt down Qing Feng and the others. Such actions were undoubtedly the actions of weaklings. If something like that had happened in the Blood Demon Clan, no one would have done such a thing. The entire Blood Demon Clan would definitely unite to fight against their enemies. Even if they were no match for their enemies, they would definitely not betray their own clansmen. Because of that, it was impossible for Red Oriole to have any good impressions of those White Feather Monstrous clansmen. If it wasn't for the fact that she had to accompany the Sage Emperor to have her bloodline tested, she wouldn't even bother coming here to meet those people from the White Feather Monstrous Clan. Soon, the Sage Emperor and Red Oriole arrived at the depths of the White Feather Monstrous Clan's Imperial Palace. They arrived outside a heavily guarded palace. Upon arriving at the palace, Red Oriole discovered that it was very heavily guarded. The guards were over 100 times stronger than the guards at the entrance of the Imperial Palace. There were over 10 higher rulers, and many middle and lower rulers standing beside them. This is our White Feather Monstrous Clan's altar. It's an important place of our clan. That's why it's heavily guarded. However, if it's Lady Blood Demon, you can enter with us. It's fine, the slightly plump White Feather Monstrous Clansman said with a flattering smile. Then, he brought the two women into the palace. Upon stepping onto the altar, the Sage Emperor was met with a very pure and holy aura. It was a very familiar aura, and made her even more certain that she was related to the White Feather Monstrous Clan. My lord, as long as you stand on the white wing in front of you, you will know what your bloodline is. The chubby White Feather Monstrous Race cultivator said politely to the Sacred Emperor. He did not look down on the Sacred Emperor just because he was at the same level as the Emperor. On the one hand, it was because the Holy Emperor was Red Oriole's friend. On the other hand, it was because this slightly plump White Feather Monstrous Clansman was able to sense an even purer White Feather Monstrous Clan's aura from the Holy Emperor. Thus, he had some guesses in his heart. How could an ordinary being be with the princess of the Blood Demon clan? He didn't believe that there was nothing special about the Sage Emperor. Because of that, the slightly plump White Feather Monstrous Clansman did not dare to show the slightest bit of disrespect to the Saint Emperor, and treated her as if she was Princess Blood Demon. The Sage Emperor suppressed his excitement and gradually walked towards a white wing at the center of the altar. The white wing was even larger than a person, over 6 meters long. It was covered with many pure white feathers and radiated with a holy light and aura. The Sage Emperor stepped onto it, and a holy and gentle light immediately enveloped her body, making her feel extremely comfortable. How do we know what bloodline she has? Red Oriole asked as she watched the scene unfold. The Blood Demon tribe did have something that could test one's bloodline, but it was different from this white wing. It was a pool of blood, so she was rather curious about this white wing. That's right. Our White Feather Monstrous Clan's bloodline is divided into 9 grades. The highest grade is the ancient White Feather Immortal Beast bloodline. It is the first grade bloodline, and possesses the strongest martial talent. However, the White Feather Immortal Beast bloodline has not appeared for several tens of thousands of years. The chubby White Feather Monstrous Clan's great ruler explained, in recent years, the majority of our clan's younger generation have either 4th or 5th grade bloodlines. Originally, the most talented one, Qing Feng, has a 3rd grade bloodline. Let's not talk about that for now. In short, our White Feather Monstrous Clan has declined compared to several tens of thousands of years ago. The chubby White Feather Monstrous Clan's great ruler sighed deeply. When he recalled how the White Feather Monstrous Clan was being jointly suppressed by the Black Qilin Monstrous Clan and the Golden Moon Monstrous Clan, he couldn't help but recall the glorious days of the White Feather Monstrous Clan from several tens of thousands of years ago. Qing Feng, he actually has a 3rd grade bloodline. Red Oriole narrowed her eyes. She did not say anything. She only thought to herself that it would appear that Qing Feng was the only one with a 3rd grade bloodline in the White Feather Monstrous Clan. All the others were either 4th or 5th grade bloodlines. It was no wonder that the Black Qilin Monstrous Clan placed such importance on Qing Feng and wanted to kill him. However, this made Red Oriole feel that the people from the White Feather Monstrous Clan were not courageous at all. They were actually pushing their clan's most talented younger generation out to be hunted down by other clans. Only the people from the White Feather Monstrous Clan were capable of doing such a thing. That said, Red Oriole was disinclined to concern herself with the matters of their clan. She was only concerned about what sort of bloodline the Saint Emperor possessed. Judging from his aura, the Saint Emperor should be a member of the White Feather Monstrous Clan. Furthermore, his bloodline aura seemed to be purer. This a 1st grade bloodline? White Feather Immortal Beast bloodline. Suddenly, the chubby great ruler beside Red Oriole cried out in alarm. He stared blankly at the center of the altar, at the bright white light emitted by the white wing, and revealed an expression of disbelief. White feather immortal beast bloodline? Hearing those words, Red Oriole narrowed her eyes. She had been staring in the direction of the Saint Emperor the entire time. Naturally, she noticed that the Saint Emperor's body was emitting a bright white light. That light enveloped her entire body, causing her to appear incomparably holy. That's right. The chubby great ruler spoke with incomparable excitement. The result of our white feather monstrous clan's bloodline test is determined by the purity of the light emitted by the wing. The more flawed the white light is, the lower the grade of the bloodline. Right now, there is not the slightest flaw in the light emitted by Lord Saint Emperor's body. That is most definitely the white feather immortal beast bloodline, a first-grade bloodline. Hearing those words, Red Oriole was surprised. She never expected the Saint Emperor to really possess the first-grade white feather immortal beast bloodline. It would appear that Little Brother Dragon's 9 nether realm contains quite a few secrets. Even he himself was born in that small world. This Saint Emperor must have been sealed in the 9 nether realm by the Geo-Dragon Emperor, right? It's just that he finally woke up recently. Red Oriole was very smart. She immediately guessed the greatest possibility. As long as she knew that the Saint Emperor had come from the 9 nether realm, it would be very easy for her to guess that. However, the chubby great ruler of the white feather monstrous clan was unaware of that. Thus, he was incomparably excited to see the situation. At the same time, he was also filled with doubt. It had been several tens of thousands of years since a white feather immortal beast had appeared. How could one suddenly appear? Could it be that he's a descendant of the white feather immortal beast that had wandered outside several tens of thousands of years ago? That was the only thing the great ruler of the white feather monstrous clan could think of. Lady Princess, Lord Saint Emperor, would you like to be a guest in our white feather monstrous clan? We will definitely receive you well. Furthermore, our white feather monstrous clan's clan chief and elders will definitely want to see the first white feather immortal beast bloodline to appear in several tens of thousands of years. The chubby great ruler of the white feather monstrous clan said excitedly. Chapter 1145. When the sage emperor walked down from the white wing, he discovered that the slightly plump great ruler's expression had changed. The great ruler was looking at him with great excitement, as if he was looking at a treasure. White feather immortal monster, bloodline? The sage emperor had naturally heard the conversation between the great ruler and Red Oriole. He knew that the result of his test was the white feather immortal monster clan's bloodline. Sure enough, it was as Qing Feng had speculated. That's right, it is indeed the white feather immortal monster clan's bloodline. According to the records, no one in the past several tens of thousands of years has been able to blossom with such pure white light, said the great ruler excitedly. Since the result of the test is out, it's time for us to leave. Red Oriole walked forward and smiled at the sage emperor. Since Qing Feng was being ostracized by those people, the two women did not wish to see anyone else. As long as the result of the test was out, it would be better for them to leave. We're leaving just like that? The appearance of the white feather immortal monster clan's bloodline is a major matter for our white feather monstrous clan. No matter what, shouldn't we meet our clan chief? Said the slightly plump great ruler somewhat displeased. Amen. Red Oriole narrowed her eyes and raised her voice. No, it's nothing. If your highness wishes to leave, no one will dare to stop you. The great ruler immediately started sweating cold sweat. Not to mention him, even if their white feather monstrous clan's clan chief were to arrive, he would not be displeased with Red Oriole. Otherwise, if the experts of the blood monstrous clan were to arrive, the entire white feather monstrous clan would not be a match for them. That's good. Red Oriole nodded her head in satisfaction after hearing the great ruler's words. Then, she led the sage emperor out of the altar. Oh, that's right. Your Highness, Lord Sage Emperor, please wait a moment. The slightly plump, great ruler of the White Feather Monstrous clan bowed respectfully. However, he suddenly thought of something and hurriedly caught up to them. "What's wrong?" Red Oriole's tone sounded somewhat displeased. "Why is this fatty so annoying?" "It's like this. Our White Feather Monstrous clan possesses a secret martial technique that only members with the White Feather Immortal Monstrous bloodline are able to learn. It has been a very long time since anyone has learned that secret martial technique. If Lord Saint Emperor wants it, I am able to make the decision to obtain it for you," the chubby great ruler said flatteringly. "Only members of the White Feather Demonic clan with the White Feather Immortal Demonic bloodline could cultivate it. No one had cultivated this secret martial art for tens of thousands of years. From this, one could see how precious it was. I've heard that during the ancient era, the White Feather Monstrous clan was a clan of monstrous cultivators with relatively decent overall strength. I've heard that they relied on their peak experts with the White Feather Immortal Monstrous bloodline. Their secret martial techniques are worth checking out. Sage Emperor, there's no need for you to refuse," Red Oriole said to the Holy Emperor. Yes. Sage Emperor naturally understood this principle. Since only people with the White Feather Immortal Monstrous Beast clan's bloodline could learn it, and there were no other people with the White Feather Immortal Monstrous Beast clan that possessed the White Feather Immortal Monstrous Beast clan's bloodline, it was completely reasonable for him to give her this secret martial technique. Most importantly, that Fatty wanted to use this opportunity to befriend Red Orioles and the Sage Emperor. He was able to tell that the relationship between the Sage Emperor and Red Orioles was pretty good. If he were to give the Sage Emperor good things, Red Orioles would definitely have a favorable impression of their White Feather Monstrous clan. Perhaps she might be able to help them in the future. After all, no one could learn this secret martial technique. Furthermore, what they had given the Sage Emperor was only a copy of the secret martial technique, and not the original jade slip. As such, Red Oriole and the Sage Emperor waited where they were. Soon, the slightly plump Great Overlord returned with a copy of the secret martial technique and handed it to the Sage Emperor. At the same time as the Great Overlord, there was also a White Feather Monstrous clan's Great Elder. The moment he saw Red Oriole and the Sage Emperor, he too was stunned. He immediately greeted the two of them respectfully and introduced himself. Red Oriole naturally knew that the Great Elder had only come to get acquainted with them and join in on the fun. Unfortunately, Red Oriole and the Sage Emperor already had a very bad impression of the White Feather Monstrous clan. No matter how enthusiastic the Great Elder was, he would not be able to change their opinion of them. No matter what, the White Feather Monstrous clan's behavior of abandoning their own clansmen caused the two women to feel extremely disappointed. Of course, this did not stop the two women from obtaining some good things from the White Feather Monstrous clan, including the secret martial technique that only members of the White Feather Monstrous bloodline could learn, the Immortal Cloud Feathers. The Immortal Cloud Feathers was a secret martial technique. After learning it, one could cultivate an immortal cloud feather with every increase in level. The immortal cloud feather had many uses. It could defend, attack, create illusions, and so on. If one could cultivate it to the 9th level, one would have 9 immortal cloud feathers at the same time. At that time, the user's ability to create illusions, attack, and defend would definitely far surpass martial cultivators of the same cultivation. In fact, when facing opponents of the same cultivation, the user would be able to completely suppress them. In any case, it was just a copy. Furthermore, it had been several tens of thousands of years since anyone from the White Feather Monstrous clan had cultivated it. Thus, keeping it was useless. Thus, they decided to give it to the Sage Emperor as a favor. To them, it was an insignificant and profitable matter. Unfortunately, they did not know that the Sage Emperor and Red Oriole were completely on Like Qingfeng's side. If they had known, they would have called a large group of people to surround them during the bloodline test, not to mention giving them the Immortal Cloud Feathers Cultivation Jade Scroll. They would have even called the experts of the Black Scale Beast Clan and the Golden Moon Beast Clan to capture them and interrogate them about Passing Clear Wind's whereabouts. Unfortunately, they did not know anything at all. Due to Red Oriole's identity and the White Feather monstrous bloodline of the Sage Emperor, the White Feather monstrous clan had been intimidated. Not only did they not do anything to them, they even gave them precious secret martial technique cultivation jade slip. This was truly a very funny matter. Red Oriole could not help but laugh wildly in her heart. However, there was no need for her to show it in front of the White Feather monstrous clan. Are the two of you going to leave just like that? Why don't you stay a little longer on planet White Feather? The White Feather monstrous clan's first elder that had just arrived asked the two women enthusiastically. No, the White Feather planet is too chaotic. If things are a bit more peaceful in the future, perhaps I might come here with the Sage Emperor. I won't be staying here anymore. You also know that the Sage Emperor has only just found out about her bloodline. Likely, she will be spending a very long time in closed-door training to cultivate the immortal cloud feathers. Red Oriole said indifferently. In that case, we'll send you off. The White Feather monstrous clan's first elder and the slightly plump Great Overlord said enthusiastically. No matter what, they were unable to get rid of them. As such, Red Oriole and the Sage Emperor decided to let them be. After all, they would not pose any threat to them. The group of four proceeded toward the White Feather monstrous clan's imperial palace. Roughly several tens of li away from the White Feather monstrous clan's imperial palace was located at the center of the city. The White Feather monstrous clan's imperial palace was located at the edge of the city. Meanwhile, in the cavern that Long Yu was in, after trying every possible way to persuade them, Long Yu, like Qin Feng, and like Tianlei finally managed to convince the leaders of their faction to enter Long Yu's world of 9 netherworlds and leave the White Feather planet with Long Yu. In the end, the 100,000 clansmen of the White Feather monstrous clan had no hope of surviving. Although they could hide in the cavern for a while, it was impossible for them to hide forever. Firstly, they had no chance of leaving the White Feather planet. Secondly, once they were discovered, all of them would die. Under such circumstances, they only had one choice left: to enter Long Yu's world of 9 netherworlds and leave the White Feather planet with Long Yu. That way, they would at least have a chance of survival. Even if Long Yu wanted to control them, it would still be better than being killed by the Black Qilin monstrous clan and the Golden Moon monstrous clan. Besides, it seemed that Qin Feng and Long Yu were on good terms. Long Yu wouldn't do anything to them, would he? Moreover, Long Yu was on very good terms with the Holy Lady of the Blood Demon clan. They were so intimate. If he wanted something, would he need to play tricks on the members of the White Feather monstrous clan? With so many factors added together, these people finally believed in Long Yu. As a result, another 100,000 people appeared in Long Yu's world of 9 netherworlds. They were all members of the White Feather monstrous clan. It seemed that Qin Feng was the first to enter the world of 9 netherworlds. It wasn't his first time entering the world of 9 netherworlds. This time, Long Yu intentionally opened up a large area in another corner of the world of 9 netherworlds for the 100,000 members of the White Feather monstrous clan to stay. Currently, in the world of 9 netherworlds, apart from the billions of people in the Divine Battle Realm, there were also 300,000 members of the Bone Race and 100,000 members of the White Feather monstrous clan. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't allow the members of the Bone Race and the White Feather monstrous clan to run into each other. Unlike the members of the Bone Race and the Bone Race, who had basically settled down in the world of 9 netherworlds, the members of the White Feather monstrous clan were only staying there temporarily. Thus, there was no need to provide them with the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. As long as they left the White Feather planet, they would be allowed to leave. Of course, it would be up to them to decide where they wanted to go. It would be best if they went to the Blood Demon clan. With their relationship with Red Oriole, they should be able to obtain a decent cultivation environment. After sending the 100,000 members of the White Feather Monstrous Clan into the world of 9 netherworlds, the leader of the White Feather Monstrous Clan's faction smiled and patted Long Yu's shoulder. "It's all thanks to you. We'll be relying on you along the way. If you run into any danger that you can't handle, you can ask us to come out and help you. After all, we have 2 great rulers and quite a few higher rulers among us." "No problem. Of course, I won't ask you to come out when we're on the White Feather Planet." The corners of Long Yu's mouth curled up slightly. After the 100,000 people entered the world of 9 netherworlds, he could feel the boundless power that came with it. It could increase his strength by roughly 5%. If he ran into any danger during a battle, he could directly borrow the power of everyone in the world of 9 netherworlds to strengthen Long Yu. This would harm everyone in the world of 9 netherworlds, but it would increase Long Yu's strength by quite a bit. If all the living beings in the world of 9 netherworlds were here, Long Yu's strength would increase by at least tenfold. Of course, unless it was absolutely necessary, Long Yu wouldn't use this method. After all, it would cause great harm to all the living beings in the world of 9 netherworld. After all, the explosive increase in strength that Long Yu had obtained was all from them. Chapter 1146. At the edge of White Feather City, the largest city of White Feather Planet, the teleportation array leading to the Blood Demon Galaxy had been prepared. After 1,000 people paid enough demon coins, the teleportation array would be activated. Long Yu activated the space-time imprint and appeared near the teleportation formation. He immediately saw Red Oriole and the Holy Emperor walking out of the city. Behind them were several White Feather Beast Clan's demonic cultivators. All of them were Sovereign Realm experts. Long Yu saw that those White Feather Monstrous Clan's great overlords were extremely respectful and fawning toward Red Orioles and Saint Emperor. It seemed like they were trying to curry favor with the 2 women non-stop. Seeing that, the corners of Long Yu's mouth rose slightly. "I didn't expect the identity of a princess of the Blood Demon Clan to be so popular," Long Yu thought to himself as he walked towards the other party. "That's enough. Let's stop here. We will take our leave first. If we have time in the future, we will come here again to ask about the feathers of the immortal cloud." Upon seeing Long Yu, Red Oriole turned her head to the side and said to the White Feather Monstrous Clan's overlords. A total of 4 White Feather Monstrous Clan's overlords had insisted on sending them to the space-time imprint's teleportation formation. While they said that they were doing their duty as hosts, they were actually trying to curry favor with Red Oriole. Naturally, Red Oriole had seen through their intentions. "Okay, Your Highness, please have a safe journey. You are welcome to visit Planet Bayou in the future. We haven't had such a distinguished guest like you in a long time." The White Feather Monstrous Clan's Grand Elder chuckled. He was very cordial toward Red Oriole and the Holy Emperor. "I will." Red Oriole did not want to waste any more time with him. She directly pulled the Saint Emperor over to where Long Yu was. She wanted to head to the teleportation formation with Long Yu. "Is it done?" Red Oriole transmitted her voice to Long Yu. "Yes, they're all in." Long Yu nodded. "There's no time to lose. Let's go." Red Oriole did not waste any time. She immediately headed toward the teleportation formation. The 4 White Feather Monstrous Clan's great sovereigns stood where they were and respectfully watched the 3 people leave. With the 4 great sovereigns present, the surrounding streets became a lot more orderly. After all, no matter how many robberies there were, no one would dare to do it in front of great sovereigns. At this time, if everything went smoothly, everything would come to an end. Conflicts and whatnot would gradually fade away from Long Yu. At the very least, he would be able to have a good rest and cultivate for a period of time. At this time, if everything went smoothly, and the conflict would gradually fade. Just as the 3 of them were walking towards the time-space transmission array, another group of people walked out from the direction of the time-space transmission array. This group of people were wearing golden armor. They were actually the powerhouses of the Golden Flood dragon demonic race. Dragon race monstrous dragon clans, Fey clans king. Behind the Golden Dragon clan's Grand Elder were 7 or 8 Sovereign Realm experts, as well as dozens of higher Sovereign Realm demonic cultivators. This group of people could be said to be a third or fourth of the Golden Dragon monstrous race's strength. Not good, it's the Golden Dragon monstrous race. From the looks of it, they want to kill us all. Red Oriole and Long Yu immediately sensed that something was wrong. Long Yu had killed the Golden Dragon monstrous race's third prince in the Ironwall galaxy. It was obvious that the third prince's identity was very important, so important that the Golden Dragon monstrous race had mobilized a third or fourth of the Golden Dragon monstrous race's strength to avenge him. Previously, on planet Thunderbolt, the Golden Dragon monstrous race had spread all kinds of rumors in an attempt to capture Long Yu and Red Oriole. Unfortunately, the two of them had escaped too quickly, and the Golden Dragon monstrous race had failed to catch them. But now, the Golden Dragon monstrous race had actually found their way to the White Feather Planet. How did they find this place? Red Oriole's face sank. She couldn't understand. During this period of time, she hadn't felt any deduction power at all, not to mention that there was a deduction forbidden formation on the White Feather Planet. If her identity had been exposed after she arrived on the White Feather Planet, the other party shouldn't have arrived so quickly. It should be known that only 4 hours had passed since she arrived on the White Feather Planet. The other party had arrived too quickly, so quickly that Long Yu and Red Oriole were caught off guard. Humph, I've finally found you after searching through dozens of cultivation planets that teleported out of the demonic Jade Planet. Let's see where you can run to now. The Golden Dragon monstrous race's first elder, the golden-haired old man, laughed sinisterly. He looked at Red Oriole and Long Yu with eyes filled with endless hatred. Surround them! The golden-haired old man gave the order. The 7 sovereigns behind him, as well as over 30 superior sovereigns, spread out at almost the same time, surrounding Long Yu, Red Oriole, and the Sage Emperor. The cultivators passing by in the vicinity were all astonished. They quickly fled into the distance. They could tell that a huge battle was about to take place, and it involved nearly 10 sovereigns. It would definitely cause great damage to the battlefield. If they didn't flee, they would most likely be implicated in the battle. The 4 White Feather monstrous race's sovereigns, who had been fawning over Red Oriole in a respectful manner, were momentarily stunned. What was going on? Hey, what are the Golden Dragon monstrous race doing here? Are they planning to kill the Blood monstrous race's princess? The slightly plump White Feather monstrous race's sovereign asked in a low voice. How would I know what they're here for? However, it's best that we don't interfere in this matter. The Golden Dragon monstrous race actually sent so many sovereigns. It seems like they're determined to win. They must have some sort of deep hatred for the Blood monstrous race's first elder. The White Feather monstrous race's first elder said with a deep voice. Of course we won't interfere. Even if we wanted to, we wouldn't be a match for so many people from the Golden Dragon monstrous race. However, are we just going to watch the show? The slightly plump sovereign asked doubtfully. One must know that this was planet Whitefeather, the home ground of their White Feather monstrous race. Now that such a major incident had occurred here, it would seem like they were cowards if they didn't step forward and say a few words. Our race is currently in a period of crisis. It's best that we don't attract more enemies. It's best that we don't involve ourselves in the affairs of the Golden Dragon monstrous race. Let's just watch from the sidelines. It doesn't matter even if we end up losing face. Haven't our White Feather monstrous race lost a lot of face over the past few days? The first elder said with a cold harumph. Yes. The slightly plump sovereign immediately nodded in agreement. The 4 sovereigns of the White Feather monstrous race soon decided to watch the show from the sidelines. This caused Sage Emperor to feel rather indignant. Those 4 old farts were acting very respectfully earlier. Yet, they immediately cowered after seeing the arrival of a powerful enemy. This planet Whitefather is still their white feather monstrous race's territory. Sage Emperor couldn't help but ridicule them. I wasn't hoping for them to come and help us. But their attitude changed too quickly. Sigh, forget it. It seems we'll have to deal with this ourselves. Red Oriole also knew that the situation was very bad. It was impossible for them to count on the 4 sovereigns of the white feather monstrous race. Can you deal with them? Long Yu's face darkened. He had not expected the other party to catch up to them so quickly. From the other party's tone, it seemed like they had set off from Demon Jade Planet and searched many places before finally arriving here. Finally, they had caught up with him and Red Oriole. Although it's rather difficult, you must believe in your big sister. Red Oriole giggled upon hearing Long Yu's question. She didn't seem to be particularly nervous at all. This surprised Long Yu. Although Red Oriole had a noble status, her martial realm was still that of a superior sovereign. There was still a gap between her and a great sovereign. It might be possible for her to deal with a great sovereign alone, but to deal with 8 great sovereigns at the same time, with one of them being the Golden Flood Dragon monstrous race's Grand Elder, an existence that surpassed ordinary great sovereigns, was basically impossible. Long Yu had been with Red Oriole for a long time, but he hadn't discovered any special trump cards. Could it be that she was going to use them now? Don't show any mercy. Kill them all. As for the blood monstrous race, I'll deal with them. The Golden Flood Dragon monstrous race's Grand Elder, the golden-haired old man, said coldly. He looked at Red Oriole and Long Yu as if he was looking at 2 dead men. Attack! Following the golden-haired old man's order, the surrounding 7 sovereigns, including himself, made up a total of 8 great sovereigns, and they all attacked Red Oriole. I should be able to block these guys, but if you can hold up the weaker ones, that would be even better. Red Oriole said to Long Yu when she saw the situation. Then, she raised her hand and blood-colored divine characters surged out, instantly transforming into an illusion realm of blood. This Emperor Dao mystic ability instantly enveloped the 8 great sovereigns. In this instant, Long Yu seized the opportunity and immediately retreated, escaping the encirclement of the 8 great sovereigns. For now, I believe that you can delay these 8 great sovereigns and the 30 or so higher sovereigns. As for the rest of the weaker ones, I'll give it a try. A crazed look flashed in Long Yu's eyes. He knew that Red Oriole wouldn't speak without thinking. Since she said she could stop them, then Long Yu naturally had to believe her. Fortunately, most of the Golden Flood Dragon monstrous race's experts were top-notch expert. At this moment, they were all enveloped by Red Oriole's illusion realm of blood. Although the illusion realm of blood wouldn't last for long, it was still able to attract the attention of all the higher sovereigns and great sovereigns. The rest weren't that great. There were only 3 middle sovereigns and 7 lower sovereigns. In total, there were 10 people. They were the opponents that Long Yu was about to face. Red Oriole had enveloped the higher sovereigns and great sovereigns within the illusion realm of blood. Only the 10 sovereigns were left outside. When they saw that Long Yu had escaped their encirclement, they immediately attacked Long Yu. It's impossible for me to stop them alone. I can only call for help. Chapter 1147. Shu Chan controlled the Azura Ancient Palace, Shi Yengu controlled the Death Ancient Palace, Dugu Yijian controlled the Yellow Springs Ancient Palace, and Yen Huanma controlled the Hell Ancient Palace. The 4 ancient palaces appeared in Long Yu's 9 netherworld and sat beside Long Yu. Saint Emperor, return to the 9 netherworld first. It's too dangerous here. After sending the Saint Emperor back to the 9 netherworld, Long Yu raised his head and saw Shu Chan and the others activating their palaces at the same time. The power of the 4 palaces instantly merged together to form a giant defensive barrier. The 9 nether soaring dragon formation appeared and formed a solid barrier around Long Yu, protecting him, Shi Yengu, and the others. Inside the barrier, countless black divine dragons danced in the air, blocking the 10 sovereign realm experts from the Golden Flood dragon race. There were 3 middle-level sovereigns and 7 lower-level sovereigns. These 10 Golden Flood dragon race sovereigns were originally here to scout for information. Their main fighting force was the 8 sovereigns who were attacking Red Oriole, as well as the 30 or so higher-level sovereigns. However, these mid-level and low-level sovereign realm experts didn't feel the slightest bit of pressure when facing a mere 4-star emperor like Long Yu. Not to mention a 4-star emperor, even a mid-level sovereign realm expert wouldn't stand a chance against the 10 of them. Jie, this brat actually dares to resist. However, the 4 fellows that came out from his inner world seemed to be quite capable. What inner world? It's a small world. Idiot, that brat has a small world. Don't be careless. Some people were able to see through Long Yu's background and became more cautious. After all, the existence of a small world meant that there was a high possibility of a sovereign realm expert in it. Cultivators of any cultivation realm could appear from it. However, when they saw that Long Yu had only called out 4 peak Emperor realm experts, moreover, the first person in the book was Mu Shou, of course, they soon found out that these 4 peak Emperor realm experts were Save, Delete, Yuan Hui Huang, Jia Chun Ma, Bang Xian Nao, Nuorue, Na Ing Gu by Chong Pang Nai and Ei Wei Gu. What? The jade rings are reflected in the mud? Noel? Samurai Jun, the soaring dragon of the 9 underworlds spell formation, appeared and protected the 4 of them and Long Yu within it. The 10 mid- and lower-level sovereigns launched their attacks at Long Yu almost at the same time. Golden divine characters danced in the air, condensing into sword auras, blade auras, pillars of light, and even golden lightning and torrential rain. A series of terrifying attacks surged towards Long Yu. Looks like that kid is going to die first. Not far away, the 4 white feather monstrous clan's grand sovereigns did not intend to help. Instead, they stood to the side and occasionally pointed at the fight. They did not know who Long Yu was. They only knew that he was a friend of Princess Red Oriole of the Blood Feather race. However, they could not even be bothered to save Red Oriole, let alone Long Yu. Hence, they could only watch as the 10 sovereign secret realm experts attacked Long Yu with their own eyes. Not only that, they were indifferent, but they were even commenting from the side. That's right. A 4-star emperor and 4 peak sovereigns, there's no way they can withstand such an attack. He only died a little earlier than Princess Shuiyao, that's all. I just sent someone to investigate. It turns out that this brat and Princess Shuiyao worked together to kill the 3rd prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon clan. No wonder they were so angry and chased after us. So there's a grudge between them. Even if the Blood Feather race sends someone over, they're in the wrong. Should we help the Golden Flood Dragon race? Since the Princess Blood Feather race is definitely going to die. Let's wait a little longer. The situation isn't clear yet. Who knows, something unexpected might happen. After some discussion, the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Beast clan decided to stay put and wait for the situation to become clearer before making any further plans. On Long Yu's side, the 9 Nether Soaring Dragon formation trembled violently under the combined attacks of 10 Sovereign Realm experts. Originally, the Soaring Dragon of 9 Underworlds formation was able to withstand the corrosion of the Sea of Death aura at the edge of Shen Wu World for 3 days and 3 nights when it was incomplete. But now, the Soaring Dragon of 9 Underworlds formation was no longer incomplete. Thanks to the addition of the Hell Palace that Yen Huan Mo controlled, it became a complete defensive formation. Therefore, the 9 Nether Soaring Dragon formation was able to withstand the combined attacks of 10 Sovereign Realm experts, and there was no danger of it being breached in a short period of time. He blocked it. Shu Chan stood at the top of the ancient Azura Palace, and her petite figure was covered in sweat. When she first appeared, she was facing 10 Sovereign Realm experts at the same time, and she panicked for a moment. But when she found out that she could rely on the power of the ancient palaces to block the attacks of the sovereign realm experts, she finally calmed down a little. Shi Yenwu was also panting heavily as she stood at the top of the ancient death palace. The aura of death runes spread out from her body. Her cultivation was slightly higher than the other three, reaching the one-star emperor realm. However, this difference in cultivation was nothing in front of a sovereign realm expert. Luckily, there were 4 ancient palaces working together, otherwise, a lingering fear gripped Sunset Dance's heart. Even now, she could still feel the 9 nether soaring dragon formation trembling uncontrollably. Under the combined attacks of 10 sovereign realm experts, the formation seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Strange, it seems like the power of these 4 ancient palaces is resonating with some kind of power in my body. Long Yu stood in the middle of the 4. Under the encirclement of the 4 palaces, his body appeared extremely tiny. However, at this moment, as the power of the 4 palaces fused together, some sort of energy within Long Yu's body started to fluctuate. Very quickly, Long Yu discovered that this power was the ancient god realm forbidden technique that he had comprehended a little, the 4 symbols killing prison. Right, the 4 symbols killing prison is a forbidden technique that even the Jiryo Dragon Emperor didn't fully comprehend. However, he relied on it to create the 4 ancient palaces and nurture the 9 nether 4 envoys. Now that the 4 ancient palaces are gathered together, my comprehension of the 4 symbols killing prison will increase a little. If I can comprehend the 4 phases killing hell's forbidden technique, and combine it with the power of the 4 ancient palaces, I might be able to kill all 10 of them. Long Yu's heartbeat suddenly started to speed up, but it was still too early to be happy now. No matter what, this was only a guess of his, and the truth would depend on whether he was able to comprehend even more of the 4-symbol slaughter prison. Long Yu managed to hold off the sovereign realm experts for the time being, and Red Oriole, who wasn't far away, felt a little relieved. This kid really doesn't disappoint me. He can even hold off 10 sovereign realm experts. Amazing. Since that's the case, I can't fall behind. Red Oriole looked at Long Yu holding off the 10 sovereign realm experts, and a satisfied look appeared in her eyes. She could feel that the blood illusion boundary she had formed was about to be broken by the other party. This was the first time she had encountered such a fast speed. However, when she thought about the fact that the other party had 8 sovereign realm experts and over 30 sovereign realm experts, she didn't feel so conflicted anymore. It was already not bad that the blood illusion boundary was able to trap so many experts for 3 to 4 breaths of time. She knew that she wouldn't be able to deal with the situation on her own. She could only use the trump card that she had hidden for a long time. Come out, Princess Bodyguards. Red Oriole raised her hand, and a wave of blood-red divine runes spread out from her body. Along with a wave of world energy, several blood-red figures actually appeared in her little world. These blood-red figures quickly appeared in front of everyone, and they surrounded Red Oriole to protect her. It was clear that these figures weren't lifeless, and they were just puppets. However, every single one of them had the strength of a sovereign realm expert at the very least. There was a total of 12 blood-red figures. 6 of them were great sovereigns, and the other 6 were sovereign realm experts. They seemed to be able to cooperate with each other in battle, and they were able to display greater combat strength. It's the Blood Guards. But why are there 12 of them? The appearance of the 12 blood-red figures shocked the experts of the Golden Flood Dragon race. They naturally knew about the Blood Guards, and it was precisely because they knew about them that they had sent so many experts out. They were practically a third or fourth of the Golden Flood Dragon race's peak combat strength. However, they didn't expect that there would be 12 Blood Guards in Red Oriole's little world. That's right, they are the Blood Guards. These 12 are the Princess Bodyguards. They have never appeared in front of anyone before, because I don't need their protection in most situations. However, from now on, they will begin to carry out their missions, Red Oriole said indifferently. Red Oriole said indifferently. She appeared calm and composed under the protection of the 12 Scarlet Guards. Even if she were to face more than 40 experts of the Golden Flood Dragon race, she wasn't afraid at all. This was because the Blood Guards weren't afraid of death, and their combat strength would definitely surpass that of martial cultivators of the same realm. Moreover, Red Oriole only needed to control 2 or 3 of the Blood Guards to self-destruct, and it would easily cause the Golden Flood Dragon race to suffer heavy losses. The Bloody Guards were puppets that the Blood Demon clan had refined with the power of the Bloody Divine glyphs through some secret martial arts. They were just tools like the battle soldiers. If they died, they would just die. They could always be refined again. However, these experts of the Golden Flood Dragon race were living beings. If they died, it would definitely be a great loss to the Golden Flood Dragon race. Of course, the cost of refining these 12 Blood Guards was definitely quite high. However, compared to nurturing true sovereigns and high sovereigns, it was still much easier. Don't act rashly. Chapter 1148. What does Great Elder want to say? With the protection of the Scarlet Protector, Red Oriole felt a little more at ease. However, she understood that since the other party dared to encircle her, they definitely had a certain level of confidence. They must have taken the Scarlet Protector into consideration. Even though the number of Blood Guards she brought exceeded the other party's estimation, the other party would not give up just like that. Since they had already become enemies with her, it was equivalent to becoming enemies with the Blood Demon race. There was no possibility of reconciliation if they retreated now. Therefore, the Golden Flood Dragon Demon race definitely wanted to kill Red Oriole no matter what. Red Oriole was very clear about this, so she maintained her vigilance. You have 12 Blood Guards, which is out of our expectations. However, if you think you can stop us from killing you with just that, it's wishful thinking. The golden-haired elder said indifferently, "How about this? Why don't we have a duel? I will take revenge for my great-grandson, the 3rd Crown Prince, and challenge you. If you agree, we will fight one-on-one. This way, it will be much easier. How about it?" "That's a good idea." Red Oriole's lips curled up slightly. "However, why should I fight you one-on-one? If you have the guts, come and kill me. If you don't, then scram. You are afraid of losses and want to fight me one-on-one, but I am not afraid. After killing these Blood Guards, I will be able to refine more with a little more time." "You." The golden-haired elder was speechless for a moment. Red Oriole's words choked him, and his expression darkened. Of course, he would not risk the lives of his clansmen to kill Red Oriole. It was not worth it for them. He cast his gaze towards Long Yu and coldly said, "How about this? If you don't want to duel with me alone, I'll send even more people to surround and kill that brat. I want to see if you can break through the encirclement of so many people and save him." When these words were spoken, Red Oriole's expression changed, and she subconsciously glanced at Long Yu. She somewhat regretted not letting Long Yu enter her small world. However, if that was the case, it would be impossible for her to face these Golden Flood Dragon Demon race experts alone. Now that she had Long Yu to help her block 10 middle and lower dominators, she could barely deal with them and hold on until the Blood Protector was released. And now, just as the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's Great Elder had said, if he were to send some people to surround and kill Long Yu, then Long Yu would undoubtedly die. This was because even though Red Oriole could hold off the first Elders group, she would still need some time to break through their encirclement. During this time, as long as they sent 2 high-level sovereigns to where Long Yu was, they would definitely be able to kill Long Yu. Looking at Red Oriole's expression, the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's first elder knew that his words were effective on her. He couldn't help but curse in his heart, "This little bitch, she's actually so concerned about a human brat. It's truly puzzling. Alright, I'll agree to it. A duel, right? I hope you won't regret it." Red Oriole finally made her decision. It wasn't that she had never fought against a great sovereign before. However, this time was different. Her opponent this time was the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder. The First Elder's strength was considered amongst the upper echelons of great sovereigns. Previously in the demonic Saint Tomb, Red Oriole was a little helpless against an ordinary great sovereign because her strength was countered. Now that she was facing a stronger Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder, it was very likely that she would be in trouble. However, there was nothing she could do even if she didn't agree to a duel. After all, she didn't want to see Long Yu get killed. The 12 Crimson Guards began to spread out in all directions. Apart from the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's Grand Elder, everyone else was isolated. In that area, only Red Oriole and the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's Grand Elder remained. As such, the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder didn't waste any more words. His eyes flickered with a sinister and ruthless light as he directly attacked Red Oriole. Golden Flood Dragon Vortex. The Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder shouted in a grim voice, and then 5 golden vortexes of light instantly condensed. It was actually the technique that the third Golden Flood Dragon Prince had executed in the past. The 5 golden vortexes of light condensed together to form a terrifying vortex that rumbled towards Red Oriole. Balanced control. Blood Shadow. Red Oriole immediately executed an Emperor's divine ability that was combined with the third level of the secret technique, Balanced Control. She instantly transformed into a red shadow that dodged to the side. The powerful and terrifying golden vortex directly caught up to the red shadow, enveloped it, and instantly annihilated it. However, the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder didn't heave a sigh of relief. Instead, his expression became solemn. He killed Red Oriole with a single attack? Of course, that was impossible. The red shadow that was obliterated was only a clone that Red Oriole had condensed. It wasn't her main body. The problem that the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder faced was that even his detection divine ability wasn't able to locate Red Oriole's main body. Divine ability, Illusory Realm of Blood. A wave of blood-red light suddenly appeared behind the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's First Elder, and then it enveloped him. The Illusory Realm of Blood was an Emperor's divine ability that Red Oriole had executed at the very most. It was a very formidable technique, and it was capable of trapping her opponents within an illusion. Just now, she'd been able to trap all 40 of them for a few breaths of time. Now that she was dealing with the Grand Elder of the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan by himself, she was clearly able to maintain it for a longer period of time. However, it was worth noting that this was the second time the Grand Elder had faced the Illusory Realm of Blood, so perhaps he was slightly immune to it. After he was enveloped by the Illusory Realm of Blood, the Grand Elder's eyes were completely blood-red while numerous illusions appeared within his mind, and he was unable to escape them. Child's play. The Grand Elder snorted coldly, and a wisp of golden light flashed in his eyes. When this wisp of golden light appeared, the blood-red illusions in the surroundings were completely purified. This was a third-grade divine chain, and it was executed with the power of the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan's divine characters. It was capable of purifying illusions and similar attack. Although it wasn't very strong, it was able to completely suppress the Illusory Realm of Blood in a place like this. However, during this period of time, Red Oriole didn't just stand there and do nothing. Just as the Grand Elder broke free from the Illusory Realm of Blood, Red Oriole's next attack had already arrived. A mass of blood-red divine characters enveloped the Grand Elder's entire body, and then it exploded with a loud bang. Blood Condensation Explosion. This was a powerful divine formation belonging to the Blood Monstrous Clan, and it was a third-grade divine formation. It was an extremely powerful offensive technique that used blood-red divine characters to surround the enemy, and then it would explode. The terrifying aura of the blood-red divine characters exploded with a loud bang. In the middle of the blood-red explosion, a burst of golden light flashed. The Grand Elder of the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous Clan had actually revealed his true form. His powerful and terrifying physical body unfurled, and the Golden Flood Dragon's true form was actually over 100 zhang long. The Golden Flood Dragon's tail swung about, and a strong gust of wind blew, causing Red Oriole to sway left and right. Immediately after, countless golden raindrops condensed from the void, turning into golden darts that rained down on Red Oriole. The sky was filled with golden darts, and the destructive power of each dart was enough to kill a higher sovereign realm cultivator. Right now, Red Oriole was facing countless golden darts by herself, and there were probably millions of them. It was extremely dangerous. There's no other way. Red Oriole's face darkened. In this kind of situation, if she did not reveal her true form, there was no way she could deal with the Grand Elder. The next moment, a pair of enormous blood-red wings suddenly appeared behind her back. They instantly unfurled and covered her curvaceous body. The Blood Monstrous Clan's true form was similar to that of humans, but they had blood-red wings on their back. This was the strongest part of the Blood Monstrous Clan's physical body, and it could be used for both offense and defense. Most of the Blood Monstrous Clan's mystical abilities were related to this pair of blood-red wings. Therefore, the Blood Monstrous Clan could only display their true strength when they unfurled their wings. The blood-red wings unfurled, and then Red Oriole's entire body was enveloped within them. The countless golden darts smashed onto the pair of wings like raindrops, but they were actually unable to penetrate them. So powerful! Long Yu was observing the situation from afar, and he was instantly surprised. This was the first time he had seen Red Oriole transform into her true form. Previously, there had been other reasons that Red Oriole had been able to resolve the crisis she was in, so she had never revealed her true form. But now, Red Oriole had revealed her true form for the first time in front of Long Yu, and she had already displayed extremely powerful combat strength. The blood-red wings wrapped around her body actually possessed such powerful defense that it was able to cross a major martial realm and block the fierce attack of a sovereign expert. Golden light and blood-red light collided and exploded. Terrifying energy exploded, causing the surrounding space to tremble. Kid, now is not the time to look at others. Right at this moment, a sinister voice rang out near Long Yu. It was actually one of the mid-level sovereigns of the Golden Flood Dragon Clan that had surrounded him. That person was already wielding a golden blade in his hand, and he was using that golden blade to launch an attack. He had actually managed to cut a small hole in the Nine Hells' soaring dragon formation. Although the hole wasn't large, it still signified that the 10 mid-level and lower sovereigns would be able to break through the Nine Hells' soaring dragon formation. Long Yu immediately became vigilant. Fortunately, he hadn't just been observing Red Oriole's battle. Instead, he had been constantly comprehending the power of the 4 ancient palaces. It just so happened that at this time, he had already gained a deeper understanding of the 4 Hells killing prison. If he could use this forbidden technique of the ancient god, just how powerful would it be? Would he be able to block these lower and mid-level sovereigns? Chapter 1149. 4 Symbols Death Prison, Ancient God Forbidden Technique. No matter where he came from, Long Yu had never heard of such an existence. Even Consort Yu, Red Oriole, and the others didn't know what an Ancient God Forbidden Technique was. Only the 4 Symbols Death Prison, which Long Yu had obtained from the Jiyo Dragon Emperor's inheritance, was an Ancient God Forbidden Technique. It was something that even the Jiyo Dragon Emperor viewed as a treasure. One could imagine how powerful it was. Even if he only comprehended a sliver of it, it would be enough for Long Yu to counterattack even stronger opponents. As for the exact extent, he wouldn't know until he tried it. From within Long Yu's body, 4 terrifying energies gradually rose and spread. Shu Chan, Shi Yengu, Yen Huan Mo, and Dugu Yijian could all feel it. A special connection, from the 4 ancient palaces they controlled, connected to Long Yu's body. It seemed like Long Yu was borrowing the power of the 4 ancient palaces. What's going on? Shu Chan looked at Long Yu nervously. She had naturally noticed that the 9 underworlds' soaring dragon formation was already being destroyed by the lower and middle sovereigns. If they didn't think of something now, she, Long Yu, and the others would all die very soon. But now, Long Yu's abnormality seemed to indicate that he had a way to deal with the current situation. The 4 terrifying auras that rose from Long Yu's body caused Shu Chan to tremble. This sort of trembling was not because Long Yu was stronger than her, but because of the nature of those 4 auras. Even if one of them was somewhat similar to the Azura Divine Runes, the intensity of that aura far surpassed that of the Azura Divine Runes. Haha, it's about time to end this. It might not be easy to deal with Princess Blood Demon, but if we can't even deal with a 4-star emperor like you, then we're not worthy of being called experts of the sovereign's secret realm. The mid-level ruler laughed cruelly. His entire body glowed with golden light as he used the power of the Golden Flood Dragon Divine characters to continuously expand the hole in the 9 underworlds' soaring dragon formation. The others also gathered at this gap and gathered the power of the Golden Divine characters. They used divine formations, divine abilities, and divine chains. Finally, they gathered their power at one point and broke a big hole in the barrier of the soaring dragon formation of the 9 underworlds. 3 mid-level sovereigns and 7 low-level sovereigns finally broke through this tyrannical defensive barrier and arrived in front of Long Yu and the others. It was already amazing that the 9 underworlds' soaring dragon formation of the 4 ancient palaces could last until now. Moreover, this wasn't the power of Shu Chan and the others, it was just the power of the 4 ancient palaces. The power of the 4 ancient palaces could recover automatically. Shu Chan and the others could use it, but they couldn't take it for themselves. Although the power of the 4 ancient palaces hadn't been used up, the 9 underworlds' soaring dragon formation of the 9 underworlds had been destroyed. It was basically useless now. Big Brother Long, what should we do? Shi Yenwu couldn't help but ask Long Yu. She had been cultivating the balanced control secret art for the past few days, and the results were remarkable. However, the balanced control secret art wasn't of any use at this time. You guys return to the 9 underworlds first. Leave the 4 ancient palaces behind. Long Yu shouted. He raised his hand and used the world energy of the 9 underworlds to wrap Shi Yengu, Shu Chan, Yen Huanmo, and Duguijian. If they were willing, Long Yu could send them back to the 9 underworlds at any time. However, he soon discovered that the 4 of them weren't willing to return to the 9 underworlds. 3 of them were very concerned about Long Yu. Of course, they wouldn't retreat now. Anyway, the target of the other party was Long Yu, not them. If Long Yu was killed, it would be useless for them to hide in the 9 underworlds. As for Duguijian, he took a glance at Shu Chan. Seeing that Shu Chan didn't return, he didn't return either. The 4 of them stood on the ancient palaces that they controlled and started to transfer the power of the ancient palaces to Long Yu. Long Yu felt that the power from the 4 ancient palaces had become stronger. He couldn't help feeling touched. At the crucial moment, there were still people who wouldn't abandon him. If I didn't have the power from the 4 ancient palaces, it would be wishful thinking for me to execute the ancient god realm's forbidden technique, the 4 symbols killing prison. However, it seems like the 4 ancient palaces were created by the Juyo Dragon Emperor to assist him in executing the 4 symbols killing prison. Long Yu guessed in his heart. He couldn't be bothered to find out if it was true or not. In any case, he had obtained the power from the 4 ancient palaces. 4 kinds of terrifying power gathered in his hands. Of course, the 10 sovereign realm experts on the other side could feel the tyrannical power gathering in his hand. They were slightly shocked by the terrifying power, but they didn't put it to heart. After all, Long Yu was only a 4-star emperor. Compared to them, the gap between their cultivation realms was too big. It's about time to end this. Speaking of which, aren't you the one who killed the third prince? As long as we kill you, our status in the Golden Flood Dragon race will rise. Who knows, we might even be able to obtain the qualifications to cultivate the 5th grade divine formation. A golden light flickered in the hands of one of the Sovereign Realm experts. The terrifying aura from Long Yu's body made him shudder. He couldn't help but transform into his true form. A 30-zhang long Golden Flood Dragon race's true form roared as it charged towards Long Yu. The golden divine runes condensed into countless rays of sword light that enveloped the space around Long Yu. In the next instant, Long Yu was about to be killed. Damn it, I'm not ready yet. Long Yu's heart shook. He wasn't ready to execute the 4 symbols killing prison yet. After all, he hadn't absorbed all the power from the 4 ancient palaces. If he used the forbidden technique now, he might not be able to kill all of his opponents. No matter what, since I'm going to make a move, I'll do it to the best of my abilities, Long Yu thought to himself as he activated the Book of Shadows and executed a powerful technique. It was also at this moment that Long Yu, who was already very close to the 5th star monarch, finally took a step forward. In the face of a life-and-death crisis, the 5th innate mystic fruit in his body finally transformed. It was the Book of Darkness. When Long Yu executed the Book of Darkness, it just so happened that this mystic ability broke through from the Emperor Path mystic ability to the Emperor Path mystic ability, resulting in an extremely mysterious transformation. Long Yu's entire body instantly turned into nothingness, disappearing from everyone's sight. This was true nothingness. It wasn't concealment, nor was it concealment. In fact, Long Yu's body had completely disappeared. Everyone was shocked because of this. How did that brat suddenly disappear? The patriarch of the white-feathered demonic race frowned as he felt that something was amiss. Did he execute some kind of illusion technique? No matter what, even if he broke through to the 5-star Emperor realm, facing 10 sovereign secret realm experts at the same time, only death awaits him. The slightly plump sovereign of the white-feathered demonic race chuckled. That's right. If the Emperor can kill 10 sovereign realm experts at once, the whole world will be thrown into chaos. Another person nodded his head and said, no matter what technique that brat used, he's dead for sure. Even the princess of the blood-feathered demonic race can't take care of herself, let alone save him. Other than the 4 sovereign realm experts of the white-feathered demonic race, there were many passers-by watching from afar. However, they were quite far away, so they didn't notice anything strange about Long Yu's sudden disappearance. They thought that he had used some kind of concealment technique. However, Long Yu's technique had truly turned him into nothingness. The Book of Darkness had flipped to a brand new page. After Long Yu unleashed this Emperor Dao mystic ability, his entire body turned into nothingness. The boundless golden sword light that filled the sky rained down like a torrential rain, but all of them pierced through thin air. He really disappeared? Did he teleport to another place? The mid-level sovereign realm expert who executed the technique frowned slightly. He didn't expect such a situation to occur. He immediately executed a powerful detection technique and spread his divine sense in all directions. However, he couldn't sense any trace of Long Yu's aura. He couldn't understand. Long Yu clearly didn't use any spatial divine characters, so why did he suddenly disappear? However, in the next moment, he saw that after his golden sword lights rained down, a pitch-black book that looked like a page quietly appeared at the place where Long Yu was. A figure walked out from the page, and it was Long Yu's figure. It's about time. The first step of the 4 symbols killing prison, construct the killing prison. Long Yu appeared again. At this moment, he had finally completely absorbed the power of the 4 ancient palaces into his body. Coupled with the 4 symbols killing prison ancient god forbidden technique that he had comprehended, he felt as though he could summon it at will. Boundless power surged within Long Yu's body. It was finally released by Long Yu's 4 symbols killing prison technique. Instantly, 4 colored lines darted out from Long Yu's body. In the blink of an eye, they enveloped 3 mid-level sovereigns and 7 low-level sovereigns. These lines were all translucent and emitted a terrifying aura that caused one's heart to tremble. However, the 10 sovereigns didn't take it to heart. After all, Long Yu's cultivation was too low. No matter how strange his technique was, it couldn't do anything to them, right? What kind of *T technique is this? It clearly doesn't seem to have any power, but it gives me a terrifying feeling. A low-level sovereign frowned slightly. Among the 10 of them, he was the only one who was slightly vigilant. However, it was too late for him to be vigilant. After the lines surrounded them, they actually tightened in the next instant, like a fishing net that trapped all 10 of them. Ancient God Forbidden Technique, 4 symbols killing prison. Let me see exactly how strong you are. A look of anticipation flashed through Long Yu's eyes. The energy from the 4 ancient palaces in his body surged out endlessly, turning into more and more dense lines that wrapped around the 10 sovereign realm experts. The killing prison was the first step of the 4 symbols killing prison. The first step was to construct the 4 symbols killing prison. Following the countless dense lines that bound the 10 sovereigns, a dense killing intent started to spread out. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.